Here in the city of Doors, Dame's troubles tend to go unheard. The factions keep their own law, and the average Joe, well, we're stuck carving out our own order. But Sigil isn't without help. When you've got a problem with no solution, a puzzle with no key, there's only one joint in town to turn to. They might not be the most professional outfit around, but they always solve the case. Because when you're desperate enough to turn to these idiots, you'll find your conundrum might just be open and shut.
Hello and welcome to our little mystery-solving D&D campaign, folks. My name is Austin, and as always, I'm joined by some candy cutters looking into the dark. Say hello, everyone.
Ooh,
hey,
I like it.
Hi.
How you doing?
I keep getting surprised when it doesn't alliterate.
Yes.
That's a me
The
problem.
alliteration was more whimsical. This is more on theme. But then I wonder, is that better or just different?
What's
Before we
crazy
get
is
started,
none
Sophia's
going to
talk about
lingo, though.
what is stop. Don't interrupt me. I'm just kidding. Before we get started, Sophia has some announcements. So let's take care of those and then get into the adventure. Sophia, what's up?
Yeah, these announcements are going to come to you in the form of a pop quiz to see if all of my co-hosts have been paying any fucking attention to what I've been saying for the last 3 episodes. So,
What'd you say?
what product are we currently selling?
This episode is brought to you by World Anvil.
No, Wally,
Teacher?
you raised your hand.
Mostly we're selling ourselves, I feel like.
We got a pin coming.
We have a pin coming, that's right. And who can tell me what that pin is of? Red?
Only if you promise not to get me in trouble because I leveled up early.
Red, what is the answer to the question?
It's Plug!
It's Plug,
With a little
that's
wobbly
right.
tail on a spring.
Aw, it's actually a bobblehead, but you were so close.
I pay so
man.
close to 100% attention.
That's right, we're selling a little enamel pin of Plug, and if you poke his little head, it bobbles. It's extremely cute. And who are we partnering with to sell this pin? Does anyone know? Noir, you raised your hand.
World Anvil?
No! Red?
It's Crowdmade.
It's
the guys who also do the
Crowdmade.
OSP
right, yeah,
pins.
yeah.
Woo!
Oh, there we go.
They're really
I was
cool.
like,
That's right. Right now, we're partnering with Crowdmade to sell and distribute these gorgeous, gorgeous pins designed by our very own Wally of the weirdest little dude of all, Plug. You can hang out with him. Does anyone have a suggestion on where someone could put their Plug pin? Noir?
Like a whiteboard?
Like
Like a
whiteboard.
Whiteboard?
Like a
You mean like a
whiteboard?
cork board?
Like a corkboard where you can poke
Like
it
one
in
where
and
you
it doesn't...
push pins into and not
Is
something
it not
you write
magnetic?
No,
Did I get like
It's a
a one
pin.
wrong answer?
It's an
No.
enamel pin.
on? I
put it on the...
Hold on.
Yeah.
Pins
Hold
can be
on.
magnetic?
Wait. Hold on. No, stop the podcast. Noir, what do you think a pin is?
Pins can be magnetic, right?
Okay, so
They're just
basically,
magnets. That's why we call them that.
what we've learned
Observe the
here
stabby
today
part of my pin.
is that not only are we selling these extremely cool enamel pins of our weirdest little boy, but that not a single other one of my cast members has really been paying any attention to what I say ever. But
I pay
you, the
attention.
I knew
audience,
all the
have
answers.
definitely been paying attention, and you know that you can go to Crowdmade right now to our site to pre-order the very special pin of our bestest boy Plug. The site will only be open for a little bit longer. This is the last episode we're going to be announcing it on, so if you have not had a chance to pre-order your pin yet, now is the time. Don't be like my cast members. Pay attention to the words I'm saying. Go get yourself a Plug pin.
In defense of my co-hosts, I think we all know it, but Spider's Noir over here has over 1,000 pop quiz questions wrong and a statistical outlier and should not be
I don't know.
considered.
I feel like everyone was at least a little bit off, except for maybe Wally.
I mean, we're graded on a bell curve, though, right? So...
Oh.
All of this to say, as the teacher who's given you homework, and that homework is go check out the Plug pins, link in the description below. Thank you so much to everyone who has pre-ordered the pin so far. Thank you to everyone who's gonna go do that right now. And shout out to Crowdmade for helping us with all of the production and distribution. And with that, I will hand in all of the now Scantron graded assignments over to my co-teacher Austin, and hopefully the rest of class will go much, much better than this pop quiz.
Oh, I thought I was a student, but I'm glad to be a co-teacher. Fantastic, because it means I didn't have to do any of the work. Except I had to do all the prep. So
Yeah, teaching famously
speaking
the
of-
most low effort profession.
Yeah, the way I do it. Glass, today we'll be watching a movie.
Yeah,
So
just
my version
wheel
of that
out
is
the
today we're
TV.
going on a hike. If you show up to a class of mine and I go, hike today, guys, that's Austin didn't have time to prep a lesson.
Amazing.
So, with no further ado, let us jump back into our campaign, picking up Campaign 2, Season 1, Episode 3 of The Adventures of Open and Shut Investigations. When last we left our heroes, another case closed. You had solved a missing person's disappearance and made an enemy / pet / devil's bargain with a big-ass mimic, which is currently living in the border of the High Ward and the Clerk's Ward, just waiting to be fed. Our next adventure picks up several days later, at the beginning of the following week, so everyone can take a long rest, as though we are starting to enter into... the longer we play, the more important time passing may be. So, now that we've had some time with our characters under our belt, is there anything small that your characters would like to take care of? And the answer can be no, but I just want to open this time for any of your characters, any of the PCs, to accomplish anything or try to accomplish anything they may want to accomplish. So, I turn the floor over to you before we start on another brisk morning, before peak at the Office of Open and Shut Investigations.
I imagine that Ingrid, being very against the pet mimic, would be keeping a very close eye on the activities of the members of our crew who did want to adopt the mimic and use it to their own various means. So, like, not to their faces, and not really, like, overtly or loudly. She would just be keeping a very subtle and cautious eye on all disappearances in the city, any notable packs of sudden offshoots. And I don't know if that added, maybe I could do like an investigation check with like a newspaper to just be like, oh, missing persons, who's been going MIA and in what areas, and just keep an extra sure that this building-sized mimic we've let continue to live in the city is not coming back to bite us in the literal ass.
Yeah, go ahead and roll, and I think this is investigation. This is like putting clues together.
Yeah, I got... Ingrid has the secret cork boards this campaign. They're just in her real house that no one else lives in. Okay, not amazing, not terrible. That's a dirty 20.
Dirty
Not
20 is
amazing.
great at this level.
Okay, I rolled a 12
fantastic.
though.
So,
My investigation's very good.
Yeah, plus 8 is great. It's really good.
I don't have a single +8 on my
Hey,
entire
quick
character
question.
sheet.
Who has Hob as one of their NPCs? I feel like it might be you, Sophia.
I think that's me. That sounds like me. That's
Nope,
the
it's me. Hob is
It's
my
you?
goblin
Gotcha,
reporter
okay.
friend.
Oh, I'm thinking of the
Well,
bugbear.
then we
Never
won't
mind.
worry. We won't worry about it right now. But related to him, there is a newspaper called Sigis, SIGIS, which is Sigil's independent global information service that is distributed throughout. Yeah, I don't really know why it's called that either. If you started asking
Global.
people, they probably went, nothing's a globe in
Yeah.
the Planescape. They're all flat.
Donut.
Anyway, you couldn't. If it was Taurus, though, it would be a different anagram, different acronym. Anyway, you pick up a copy, and as you often do, you keep an eye, and you don't notice any like missing persons for that area. There's nothing that stands out to you. You have a lot of time to yourself, being an elf who sleeps a lot, and you know the city pretty well. So you keep an eye on the area, and you don't see any other strange people going in. You take it that now that it's just an abandoned building, unless someone actively decides to enter it, the mimic maze is going to rely on you guys, which is kind of the deal you made. So yeah, you just kind of keep an eye on it. At one point, like every now and again, something happens. Like one point you see a bird like fly up and land on just this like the shittiest pigeon you've ever seen in your life. It's got like 6 feathers on it.
Oh, God.
Lands on a
How is it
lands on a
flying?
windowsill with a little stick to start like building a nest, and the drapes just close on it, and you never see that bird again. But for the most part, it's pretty quiet.
Well, that's deeply unsettling. Ingrid will remain wary at best, and I will continue to go about my days, play some, I think Ingrid still frequents a lot of taverns in the evening, hanging out, catching the occasional performance, making the occasional cameo, and spending most of my time ignoring my agent's calls.
Fantastic. Okay. Does anyone else have anything that they want to take care of? Yes, Noir.
Oobtaglor is in the marketplace trying to actively haggle down the price of their largest pig.
All right. Go ahead and roll me a... Here's the funny thing is you have such high stats, but, I feel like canonically you're so off-putting that I always want... I'm never really sure what to expect here, but...
It's like the way that I imagine it, it's like Oobtaglor has just a permanent aura of the friend's spell, just in the moment. In the moment, you think that they're, charming and personable, but then the moment you think about it for a little more than a minute, then...
Yep.
Hey.
I think it is people who know you for longer. People who know you for longer get turned off. So, in the moment, go ahead, go ahead and roll me a persuasion check.
Natural 20.
Oh my god.
Natural 20.
Can we just set up a pig payment plan? Just have them feed their best pig to the
Actually,
Mimic House every week?
That's a great idea.
You
to drop
arrange
off
with a
this
natural
pig
20
over here.
With a natural 20 and the low price, what do you want someone else to just bring the pig there, or do you want to just get a pig a week?
No, I'll be responsible. I will feed the mimic myself. I just need a steady supply of food as per our agreement.
All right, fantastic. For the low price of, we're gonna call this every session, just mark off 5 copper pieces.
Amazing.
Extremely low. The consistency, but your regular customer is basically getting you a bulk discount.
Somewhere in the back of the marketplace, as this transaction goes down, is Ingrid with the newspaper over her head, just going
I feel like I also said something about Sophia had to pay something at the start of every episode. I don't remember what it is now.
I think
I was like, you're always gonna...
The lease in the office is under my name, so technically, if anyone has to pay rent on the office space, it's Ingrid.
Yeah, we'll figure that out, and then we get some back pay in. But, fantastic, yeah. So for 5 copper pieces, very low, half a silver.
Cool.
For half a silver, you're getting a pig a week. It's not the prize pig. This is not Babe. Did Babe win a competition? I don't know. Wilbur won a competition.
One of them was some
Wilbur.
pig, and that's all I remember.
Some
from
pig,
those.
yeah.
Yeah.
That would be Wilbur. This is not some pig. This is
All right.
This is a janky Bitopia pig. It's got a little bit of dire boar in it, so it's a little spiny. But it's less that it makes it intimidating, and more that it kind of just makes it kind of awkward at walking. But yeah, so you have a regular supply of pigs, and for the time being, that is going to keep Maze happy. So
Excellent.
fantastic. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to attend to?
Not particularly. I think
Fair enough.
Evrard would be having a very quiet breakfast with Bileyg.
Oh yeah.
We're just sitting down.
Just vibing.
Yeah.
2 little guys in a little apartment.
Yep.
Yeah, but of course
got
it is
moved in.
halfling food, so
Yeah.
the larder is absolutely stocked. It gets a little bit low, and Bileyg goes to the market and comes back with twice as much stuff every time.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
I
All
think
right.
Bileyg has a very, very small, not good conspiracy board compared to Ingrid's, and it's only got 3 things on it, and it's just about the circumstances under which he got yeeted into Sigil, a couple of years back, because he's not entirely clear on what happened, and maybe that would help him figure out how to get back, but he's not super good at it and doesn't have any leads, so it's just like drawing.
What is written on this board that you have? I think Evrard, I don't know whether Evrard would keep it to himself or not, but this would be something that Evrard sees staying with you.
Yeah.
What is written on this conspiracy board?
It's basically just a couple little handwritten notes. So one of them would essentially it's the center of the 3 strings that are on it. And it's just mission from Sokwed Hezi, ? And then a little lower square of paper that just says, what enemy, ? and then like a little hand-drawn door because it was getting bad just drawing notes on everything. So just a little hand-drawn door on another little square, and then a not as bad sketch of some rolling fields with just an endless mountain slope behind it on the other side of the door connected by the string.
All right.
And it hasn't been touched in a little while.
There's a little cobweb between two of the strings,
Yeah.
giving you a few
There's,
more
like-
connections.
There's a thing of the string, like most of the ball of string is still there and it's just kind of sitting on the shelf next to it, a little ambitiously, a little box of push pins. But yeah.
All right, fantastic. Well, you guys make your way to the office, and I assume that this was a pig day, so arriving there first, we have Oobtaglor and Ingrid. It's going to take me some time to remember everyone's PC names. I think I say that every episode. I didn't have to look at anything, it just took me a second to remember. Oobtaglor and Ingrid, you arrive first. What do Oobtaglor and Ingrid talk about when it's just them? Or is it just silence?
It's never just silence with Ingrid. If Oobtaglor doesn't offer any
I
sort of
assumed as
conversation,
much.
she'll start regaling with tales. When I was working in the theater, it was a much different Sigil 200 years ago. What you have to understand is that the factions were doing all the sort of factiony things, and it's an ever-changing landscape. So a lot of the bars were very discriminating in what kind of entertainment they were seeking out. And in this scenario, I actually pioneered a new form of theatre in which you would go out into the audience and take their suggestions, and then that would affect what you would do on stage. We called it make-em-ups.
Well, I'll just say that the technique itself sounds inspired, but I think you could work on improving the name a little bit.
Well, what would you suggest?
I don't know, just an improvement.
An improvement. Doesn't exactly roll off
Yeah.
the tongue. Doesn't tell you much about what you're
Well,
doing
then change
either.
the pronunciation of it, an improvement.
It's hard. We're not all Snakespeare. We can't all get, words made out of
Snakespeare?
nowhere.
The famous
famous-
Yuan Ti
The
playwright.
famous Yuan-Ti playwright Snakespeare.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You're welcome,
All right,
audience.
I'll let that one slide. I'll let that one slither past.
Oh, God.
But I imagine the conversation would continue much in that fashion as they entered.
I think, Oobtaglor is a very receptive listener, and they'll also regale Ingrid with stories of just, like, small little, like, neighborhood detective cases that they worked on and, like, solved. It does remind me of the time, this most recent escapade of rescuing these missing people. It reminds me of the time when I had to rescue a direwolf pet from a very worried neighbor of mine, and it took a considerable amount of my resources, but
Do you
it was all
mean
handled.
the pet of a direwolf, or a direwolf that was kept as a pet?
Yes.
That doesn't answer my question.
Yes.
The direwolf had a direwolf as a pet?
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly
Is
what
that
happened.
not just like a child or a family member at that point?
Well, no, because the direwolves were in two different states of they weren't related. So I suppose they were friends? Difficult to tell. I could not converse with them in the slightest. That's what made the case difficult.
Fascinating. Do you have your notes from this case?
You sure you had a case?
I think what you do start to realize is that a lot of the cases seem to be Oobtaglor self-inserting themselves in things that might not have been cases to begin with.
Well, it could be like a Goofy and Pluto situation, to be fair.
I don't
like,
know. I
Yeah.
don't know where like
It could
the...
be a
That's,
Goofy
that's
and
basically
Pluto
what I was
situation.
trying to say without saying the words Goofy and Pluto.
As you have this conversation, feels like a strong word.
Contest.
As you are going back and forth about this, you're arriving at the office, which is it's still pretty early, mind you. But you see that there is already someone standing out front at the door who is like kind of peeking in and checking a watch on their wrist. Oobtaglor and Ingrid, you see a dragonborn, so tall, scaly. This one is white, who's wearing a very nicely dyed red leather tunic. I think tunic would be the right word. We're getting fantasy approximate of what a business suit would look like. So this would communicate to you affluence and a professional nature. But here it is well cut. It is cut to their reptilian body. You see that they're checking a watch on their wrist, which watches do exist, but it's a pretty boutique thing. There are constructs and stuff like that, but it's not it's also kind of a sign of affluence to literally have a little clockwork mechanism on their wrist. And they're peering down over these little glasses that sit on their snout and looking down at some other papers that they're holding, waiting to see if this business is going to open. It's still before opening time, but they're already here and have been waiting impatiently, it seems like.
Ingrid will confidently stride right on up, hand outstretched. Hello, Ingrid Starling. Open and shut case, City of Doors Detectives, Heroes for Hire. Can I assist you?
Can I see what papers the Dragonborn was reading?
Go ahead and roll a persuasion check. A perception check. As you're rolling a perception check, you say all of that, Ingrid, and this Dragonborn turns to you and says, "Oh, yeah, you are the proprietor of this business, then?"
Owner and proprietor. I'm one of the many caseworkers we have here, although it is something of a team effort. Are you here for our services?
I am indeed, yes. If we could please come in. This is of great urgency, and I have other places that I need to be. If we could proceed with however you take a case, I would be happy to enlist your services. And gestures to kind of give you, let me in.
I rolled an 8, by the way.
An 8. You try to look at the papers, and they're moving too fast. They're in this leather folder kind of situation.
Okay.
But you do see there is a brass medallion on their lapel, basically. Mm-hmm. A gold medallion on their lapel. And there's a little image on it, but you can't make out what that is, but it says PTC stamped across it.
Well, I will... Yes, of course, right this way, and open the door. Do you want a coffee, a tea, anything we can offer you in terms of refreshment? I admit we're just opening up for the morning. You're on the earlier side for our clients.
I can see that. My business often takes me to places very early. It's important that I get to jump on the day. No, I do not require any coffee, thank you. If you could... please, is there anything I need to sign? I will give you whatever information you need, and then we can proceed.
I believe first you need to tell us what your problem that needs solving is.
Indeed. It's at this point as they're coming in, and they, without being offered, come and take a seat in the one client chair, and push their glasses up so that they can read more effectively and open. This is when Bileyg and Evrard both arrive. Bileyg and Evrard,
the food cart's in the
for you guys to
hive,
have.
beyond belief.
It's very rare for you guys to have a client. So to have one already, this is gold is falling from the sky.
Sorry, Austin, do you say PTC?
PTC, yes.
Okay.
Just gonna put down the large number of food takeout boxes on the least professional looking corner, like a little stool in the corner, and just stack them in a symmetrical arrangement.
You see this Dragonborn looks at the stack of food that you brought, clicks his tongue, goes, and then turns to Ingrid and says, "These are other clients of yours, or these are fellow investigators?"
These are fellow investigators. We like to keep a wide and varied skill set in our employ.
Bileyg, how you
excellent
doing?
that they are not later. I would be sad to have to repeat myself, so then we begin.
Please?
Yes, I am sure that we must work quickly if you are to get back to your offices at the Planar Trade Consortium.
Oh!
Ooh, Noir,
You see
Googling what PTC could stand for.
a nod of respect, actually. Go ahead and roll me like a performance check. Actually,
I Sherlock this bitch. I've been watching a lot of Elementary.
Evrard, I think we might
Natural
be late to
one.
the party.
No.
Tries to
I'm
lean
using
on the
lucky,
desk,
I'm using
but the
lucky.
desk isn't
you're gonna use
there.
luck. Okay.
Okay, there we go. We just got it. Let's do it.
I just got it and I'm spending it on this worthless, on this vanity project. Yeah, that's better. 6. 14.
14. You see, like a kind of nod, like a recognition of deductive skills, even if it wasn't a great mystery. There's definitely, you can see there's a little bit of satisfaction behind the eye that they're actually speaking. This guy is actually speaking to professionals. He turns and he says, "Very well, I shall make it brief. My name is Lazaro, and I represent the Planar Trade Consortium, as your friend has said. I am sent because we are in the middle of a project that has undergone an accident, most foul. I say accident, that implies that it was not on purpose. It most certainly was. We have a project ongoing in the market ward, and last night, not only was this business venture sabotaged, but also one of the workers was murdered there."
Well, that certainly is a tragedy. Tell me, what is this project you're working on?
We are building a train station. It is called the Concord Terminus. Perhaps you have heard of it. It is to connect Sigil to many other planes, including Mechanus and Bitopia, by way of a new rail that is being forged in Mechanus. We have a business partnership with them, and the Planar Trade Consortium will operate this half of the venture in Sigil. This is obviously very lucrative, and to fall behind schedule is less than ideal. We hope that you can find the culprit responsible so that we can pursue legal action to have monetary compensation for the damages already inflicted.
And catch the murderer, I would assume.
Yes, my apologies. We assume they are the same person, but if you think that they are two different people, then I leave the expertise in that to you.
All right.
Well, nothing seems off the table. I must ask a question. So,
Please?
is this train terminal, does this operate off of the use of portals in any way?
It has its own capability of traveling between planes, so it is not a permanent portal. This gives it a great flexibility that we will be relying on in the future.
Fascinating technology. I'm not very mechanically minded, but it is certainly impressive to see that portal technology is changing.
Nor myself, it is quite impressive indeed, which is again why we are so concerned with getting things back on track, finding the culprit to ensure it does not happen again, that justice is obtained for the harm done to this individual, and that we are able to receive recompense for the damages.
Well, it certainly sounds like our kind of case. If you don't mind, we have a few questions for you, just to make sure that we have all of the possible information.
Checks their watch again, says, "If they are brief, please."
Are you the only company working on this kind of project? There's no rivals, alternate businesses who might have a stake in disrupting your work?
We have contracted several guilds. This is quite common. They are listed in the manifest that is at the station. If you wish to look into the businesses or any of their employees, you may. But the Planar Trade Consortium is the main operating. We are not partnered with anyone.
Do you know the name of who was killed?
That was, let me see, flips through some papers. It is a man called Koa. Yes.
Well, I don't know if we have any more follow-up questions for you, sir. I think we may may be able to get out of your hair and start investigating as quickly as possible.
If we could exchange cards, perhaps. If we have any further questions, we'll come find you.
This is actually quite important. Yes, hold on.
Everyone made fun of Ingrid's business cards, but look who's flipping them out now.
Oh, it was price for the business cards. I think I said 1 silver at the start of every session, so that he
Those
can
are business cards that I keep destroying.
keeps losing them.
Yeah.
He pulls out his own business card, which is as white as his scales, and handing it over, you can see more closely the image on it. It does say PTC, Planar Trade Consortium. The behind it is, he hands it to Ingrid. Ingrid, if you want to make like a history check.
Hell yeah, I'll make it a history check.
My god, it even has a watermark.
7.
Ugh.
7. You don't know exactly what it's referencing. It looks kind of like an hourglass with coins behind it, but it's all kind of like weird and squiggly. It's not quite like a perfect hourglass. And then on the back it says Lazaro, Chief Secretary to Esteban, and then Planar Trade Consortium underneath that. He signs it and hands it to you. Like, he pulls out a little quill that apparently is always inked, signs it, probably magically, signs it and hands it to Ingrid, and he says, when you arrive, you give this to whoever is standing guard, and they will let you in and let you have run of the place.
Thank you, dear. We'll get right on it, bright and early.
Fantastic. Then, I believe payment is the only other subject to discuss. Pulls out a paper and slides a contract to you, Ingrid, which promises, as you skim it over, promises a payment of 1,200 gold pieces if you can successfully turn the culprit over to them.
Can I make a check to read this? Just like double check the legalese, make sure that we're not like getting secretly screwed here.
Decent amount of
Yeah,
bread.
make an insight or investigation check.
Yeah, out of character question. Do they specify dead or alive?
So he has said that they want to pursue legal action against whoever this is, so that they can get money back from them. So live is probably preferable. The contract itself doesn't say dead or alive, but you take the meaning. This person is cutthroat, but in the business sense.
Gotcha.
It's just a 13
right, cool.
investigation.
13 investigation. You don't see any loopholes that are like closing in on you guys. Like, if you don't catch the guy, you owe them money or something like that.
Okay. Well, this...
But there's still some stuff that you don't fully grasp in it. Like, you don't have complete run of this document.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is a bit...
But yeah, there's no bear traps for you to step in.
A bit more official than we typically go for, but in the interest of protecting your interests, I see no reason that we shouldn't proceed, and Ingrid will sign the contract.
Excellent. The Planar Trade Consortium believes that getting everything in writing is very important. Many believe that our business is in gold, but I would say that it is actually in paper that we do most of our most important work. With that then, I must return to my other businesses. Please contact me when you have finished, when you believe you have apprehended the culprit. If you simply rip the paper, then I will know.
Thank you very much. I hope you'll be satisfied with open and shut investigations.
Gives a curt nod to all of you and sees himself out. When he says rip the paper, he means the business card, just so you know.
Yeah, no, not the contract.
Right.
Yeah, not the contract. He means rip the business card and he'll know that you're calling him.
Well, we've got work to do, it seems. Good morning, everybody.
Bright and early for this one, isn't it?
It is.
Oui.
Does the contract at all specify some sort of time deadline?
Did it? DM did it?
No, it does not.
No, it's just a boilerplate sort of deal. You know, do the job, get paid, give them the suspect, all that sort of thing. So in the interest of not repeating the Mimic House, we do have to actually turn this one in.
To be fair, I think we would have turned the Mimic House in if we could figure out how to move it.
Very fair indeed.
You know, not for lack of trying.
Well, I assume the best place to start is going to be at the scene of the crime.
Yes.
We do the market ward then?
Yes,
Let's go.
market ward it is.
All right, with that, you have a city to cross. You begin picking your way across Sigil, and we will cut to the market ward. The morning in the market ward, not far from the Great Bazaar. This is as busy as it gets. Businesses are up. All the people who've been up really early, dropping off new goods and materials and supplies, are just finishing up their routes and deliveries, so they're still on the streets. And the people who are up to get the choicest goods, to be the first people shopping at each of the carts and businesses, are also here, so they are on the street. It is peak craziness here, and you four cut your way through the mob, making your way towards the address that was given to you. You were provided with a location. As I said, there is a lot of hustle and bustle here, which is typical as you arrive at your destination, the currently under construction Concord Terminus. The architecture, however, is not typical of Sigil. What you see before you is a huge dome, basically, built abutting the edge of the city, so you're almost at the edge of Sigil here, glistening as it shines in coppers and golds. Attached to the outside, there are gears in kind of strange formations. Some of them are functioning, others are currently being affixed by groups of hovering modrons with, like, workers on scaffolding directing them and pointing around. It looks like, to those of you who may have seen it, although I don't know that's anyone here, it looks like a piece of Mechanus has just been, like, cut and paste into Sigil. The nearest thing I can think of is, imagine if the Bifrost thing from the Thor movies, like the big contraption bit, was not pointy at the top and was a lot more like retrofitted steampunk. But it's the same kind of idea. As you approach, you see that there are some guards standing out front. Ingrid would recognize these guys. These are not the... So you guys have had... Ingrid knows, and you guys have had a brief run-in another adventure with the Sod Killers. I believe that was in episode 0.
Oh, right, these guys.
This is the opposite guys of that. So this is not the Sod Killers. These guys are the Sons of Mercy, they're called. And they are generally considered to be nice. They are generally considered to be nice. There's a lot fewer of them than the Sod Killers, but they're generally considered to be pretty upstanding. And as you approach, if you show the business card, that is enough to get you into the building.
We're here to investigate. Thank you for letting us through. Pleasure, toddling through. Getting in the building.
Fantastic.
Morning.
You guys enter and you see what looks like, I mean, to us, it would look like a train station. To you, none of you have ever seen anything like it. If you have even seen a train, there's very few of them. Some in Mechanus, some in Hell, but there really aren't that many trains in the Planescape. So what you see is essentially like a huge platform that's still under construction. Inside you see there's like a crane, there's scaffolding, there's boxes of equipment, there's huge piles of gears all laying around. There are multiple doors to get in. You guys enter through just one set of doors, but across the way, there is an enormous like barn door that's open that just looks out into the space of Sigil, and you could just see the spire and sky beyond. And the tracks, the sets of, rails just extend to the edge and stop. Like, it just goes out into space.
Ooh.
All around you, you see there are groups of people with modrons, and no, like, directing them around. People are putting, it's Star Wars with is it the gonk droids?
Yes.
Like, basically, is what's going on.
Yeah.
So,
trash
there's a
can
lot of,
gonk.
like, yeah, exactly. Or is it the gonk droids or the trash cans? What are the ones that have the disc heads? That was like...
The pit droids.
The what?
Pit droids.
Pit droids, thank you. It's the pit droids. It's Star Wars the pit droids with these guys bashing around, and no one really comes to welcome you guys. Like, everyone is kind of into their work, but you do see there are something like half a dozen people in here working doing various projects around.
Do they have, like, the scene of the crime marked out? Like, police line, chalk outline on the floor?
Yeah.
So as you look around, you do see that there is a hastily made and attached to, like, a metal pipe sign that says, go around, and there is just a sheet laid over a body on a floor, definitely.
Well,
You
Can't
watch
say
as
they're
just a
not
Motron
efficient.
walks past and over the body and just keeps going.
Well,
a crime scene.
we must assume a certain amount of contamination then. Should make anything that's not supposed to be there stand out even more, hopefully.
I think we
That
better
way.
take a look at this as quick as possible before the whole thing gets
Yes.
tracked across the entire floor.
Yes, I think that'd be prudent.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll
Then-
just make our way towards the body.
Investigators have opened and shut investigations. This is our first investigation, our first crime scene. What would you like to do?
Well, I have the special skill Eye for Detail as an inquisitive rogue, in which I can make an investigation check to uncover, decipher clues. So I guess I'm just gonna kind of do that. I think it's technically to be...
Why don't I lay out the scene and then we
Yeah.
can perhaps
Yeah.
take some approaches. As you approach, you remove carefully the sheet, and you see that this person has been respected. Like, this person isn't just lying where they were. Clearly, they've been moved slightly from where the pool of blood is. You can see they've been moved slightly over. They've been rolled over. Their arms have been laid at their side. Their eyes have been closed. But they are still close to the crime scene. And you take it that probably there was a mandate to not touch anything after this initial, little sign of respect was shown. What you see is a Goliath man. Big, gray, hulking, wearing very normal, he's wearing clothes that resemble actually everyone else you see around, which is like laborers' clothes, right? Leather
Okay.
aprons and rough shirts and leather pants, shirts with sleeves rolled up, things like that. And you see that, he is laying there and he has a wound in his forehead.
Couple things we can do here. Evrard's gonna kind of look around and get a look for, I guess, exits and entrances for where this perpetrator might have come in and out of, right? Obviously, this person came in, killed a dude, and then dipped. I guess he's looking for, the fastest way this person could have done this, or whether or not, actually, before that, whether this guy specifically was the target. Is there a way, is there kind of role to know that this wound is intentional and not a scuffle on the way out of whatever?
Gotcha. So why don't you roll? So it sounds to me like you want to. Evrard wants to start by investigating cause of death, the wound. So
Yes.
that would be a medicine check, I would say.
Medicine. Okay. Don't have that. Okay.
If there's another skill you'd like to use, I'm always open to
No.
to
Medicine
counter
seems
offers.
apt. A 13.
Okay, so a 13 for medicine.
Yes.
Fantastic. So as you start looking over, it becomes clear to you, and remember the way that we do skill checks here. 2 people can participate, and someone who is proficient or better at a skill can give the help action. You begin examining, and it's clear to you that this was done with a blunt force object from in front. So in other words, he wasn't stabbed, he was hit with something from in front. And that is what killed him. A quick look, you don't see any other scratches. There's nothing under there's no blood or anything under nails. The hands are rough. This person is clearly a laborer, and there are some small abrasions, but on a 13, you don't think that was a fight that would be more brutal. You think this is probably
No.
just a consequence of working with small, sharp objects all day.
Okay.
You mentioned that the person had been sort of like moved kind of for respect. Could I maybe do an investigation check to see if I could determine like where the body actually was or how it was actually laid out before it had been moved? Like if there's any like bloodstains or disturbances on the ground that I could kind of investigate?
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely an investigation.
Sweet.
Real quick about the wound. Did it look like he was attacked from the wound came from like the front, the back, the side?
Said
It's on
the
his
front.
forehead.
Front. Okay,
Yeah,
So-
it's in the forehead.
gotcha.
That's a 22 investigation.
22 investigation, fantastic. So, to set the scene a little bit, you're fairly close to the wall, and as you start to look around to figure out exactly what has happened here, the body has not been moved far. You can tell because there's a huge puddle of dried blood on the floor. So the body has not been moved far. With your 22 investigation, you start looking around. You figure how tall this guy was, exactly where the puddle is, taking a look at the smear of blood that's kind of like on the face, kind of like across one side. You start looking around and you figure this person was standing a couple feet back from the, probably something like 10 feet back from the wall, was struck in the head, fell to his knees, then down on his face, was lying face down on the ground. And then whoever found him or whoever was next to find him, whatever person moved Koa, came in, saw this person was dead, like rolled them over to see if they were dead or not. Like if they saw someone was lying on the floor, you're not sure, but rolled them over and like positioned them a little bit before realizing that they should stop. So you're still very close. He wasn't dragged far, his body, but that is the kind of sequence of events that you can glean just from the way the blood is smeared, the position of the body, and a couple other details that were glimpsed.
So if he was about 10 feet back from the wall, like, was he like facing the wall when he got smacked? Or was he facing into the general dome area?
He would have been facing the wall, yeah.
Okay, can I look basically at the segment of wall he must have been looking at when he got and see if there's any sign of like, is there like scaffolding up there that somebody could have jumped on him from or something like that? Because Goliaths are pretty big, so in order to smack him in the head like that, you know, either they were
Fantastic, yeah.
reaching, yeah.
Yeah, so he's about 8 feet tall, so, you know, it's certainly, it's not like he's like 20 feet tall, like a real giant, and someone would have had to be like on scaffolding, but go ahead and roll a perception or an investigation check for me on that.
Neither of them.
I'll tell you, there is no
good.
scaffold there to begin with.
Okay, well, I can try a perception. 15.
15, okay. So you begin looking, and you see, with a 15, you're not exactly sure, you're not 100% sure the implications of it, or like the fine details, but it's definitely clear to you as you're looking at the wall, this piece of wall is different than some of the other places. You recall that sabotage was mentioned, and you see that piece of the wall here is disturbed. There are fine clockwork pieces, so the walls are not solid plate. There are some of them with solid gold plate. In other places, though, huge panels are missing, or even small panels are gone, and big gears from 20 feet long to the size of like a dime are all throughout here, being built one layer on top of the other. Things have been destroyed here. Smashed repeatedly, and you can see that like things are bent and dinged and out of place. Gears could not possibly turned in this messed up state. So there has been sabotage on this piece of wall.
Oobtaglor, you've no shame, right?
I don't even know what the word is.
Great. Dig through the man's pockets and see if there's anything suspicious in there.
Sure. I'll do that, but I was also going to basically see if anyone working is like looking back at us, like digging around. I'm basically trying to see, did Koa have any friends, anyone who like was any other workers who were close to Koa? I was going to start canvassing people, but I'll dig through through Koa's stuff.
Yeah, that's I'd say a perception or insight check for that other thing, and an investigation for Koa's pockets.
All right, I'll start with the pockets.
Can I help him with the pockets? Ingrid be like,
Yeah, absolutely.
check
I'll use my
make sure
second
you get
luck.
really in there. It's,
Well, you're getting advantage, it seems like, from
okay.
Ingrid. So.
yes.
And
Natural
if I can't.
20. That was
Oh
a
my
that was
god.
a 1 and a natural
Okay.
20.
Wow.
All right, you start looking through pockets. You find a lot of mundane stuff in there. There are keys, presumably to an apartment. Also, you look and you see there are keys that match this building definitely. Like on a 20, you could tell that this person had a key. This guy had a key to get in. Makes some sense. You also find a coin pouch that has not a lot of money, but there are 2 gold pieces in there, large denominations, and immediately you're like, this guy wasn't robbed. If you're robbing someone, unless the thief was after something specific, like, you don't leave 2 gold coins on a person, right? Crowns,
And the keys
some
are still
call them.
here, so.
And the
if they
keys
were
are still
looking
here as well, yes.
to get back in there.
You find as well there are, in the tunic, there are, what's the word I'm looking for? In the tool belt, my goodness. Wait, hold on. Gotta clear the brain. All right, we're back on we're on a fresh train of thought. In the tool belt, there are many fine tools, and on a natural 20 investigation, Ingrid specifically, I'll say with your help action, this is where your help action comes in. You know these are basically jeweler's tools. And as you look around, that makes sense. Some of the finished pieces of the train station here, where like all the other work is done, have fine gems or gold filigree done. So you
Fancy.
take it to mean that's probably this guy did that or did that with someone else. But this guy was like working with the gems and stuff like that. And I will mention also there is a smaller key on the key ring that you don't know. It's not immediately obvious what it goes to. Like, you're like, I know what house keys look like. This one goes to this place. I'm not sure what the small key is.
Best to pocket that one. Oobtaglor.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Oh, if you want to make that insight check, can I
I
help
think you
on
made-
that? I
yeah.
have proficiency.
Sure. It was a 16
Well-
on my first roll. And that's my third one. So I'll take the
Jeez.
16.
Total of 16. You look around
Yep.
and they're being barely subtle about it. But yeah, everyone here is watching you guys with a mix of like anxiety and like there's a little bit, they're not angry at you guys, but there's like suspicion about these people they don't know dealing with someone they presumably do know. That's the feeling you're getting from it.
I think it would behoove us to find out whoever's in charge, foreman, manager, that sort of thing, and perhaps chat with them while we're here.
I go to the closest person who's looking at us and I say, you knew this person?
That
You
works
walk
too.
up. You walk up and you see there is a kind of like skinny redheaded guy who is directing some Modrons. They are clearly working on part of the sabotage, and there's like a big cog that has had like the spoke bent, and they're bending it back into place, or attempting to. You approach Oobtaglor, and you see this guy looks at you like kind of startled that you came over to him. He says, "Yeah, that's Koa. You the people looking into his death, trying to find who killed him?"
We were sent by Lazaro, or Lazaro. I don't know if the name is familiar to you.
Yeah, he came by the office when we first got everything started. He steps in every now and again. Well, I'm glad that they're taking an interest. I guess he must be the best money can buy if PTC has sent you.
Naturally.
Take a deception check.
I mean, we do a decent job. I don't know if we're the best.
You're fairly
Well, I
certain
think-
that this wasn't an accident.
How good it be? Look at him. God, I just feel bad. It was Aura who found him in the morning.
Or?
Aura.
Auric.
Aura.
Aura.
He motions. You see, there's a a woman halfling, like, way across, who's currently working on, like, pipes, putting them into place. Yeah. She doesn't live far, so she was first one in the morning, and, yeah. It
take
sucks.
it that...
You have any... Oh. Yeah?
I take it that this scene was not here the night prior. Did Koa work a night shift or something of the like? Was there anybody else who could have been with him?
Nah, we all went out for drinks last night. I mean, we don't go out every night, but it's a lot of work here. But yeah, we were all together. Koa was the first to leave, though. He was, a nice guy, but a little anxious. He would always, he was working with, he does the fine work, the gems, the gold, things like that, and he always wanted to double check, make sure that everything had been locked up. He didn't want anyone getting in and stealing it. It's not the first time he doubled back after we'd already left, but yeah, so I'd say it was Christ losing track of time. He wouldn't say Christ.
Who's that?
He'd say hell's losing track of time, but I don't know, must have been like an hour before anti-peak last night. He was getting real fidgety. He said he wanted to go back and check on it, so he left, and then, I don't know, hour or two later, the rest of us all went home. Just assumed he went home afterwards. Didn't hear anything of it. But clearly he never made it back.
Yes, shame that it led to all this.
I can go over to Aura if we want to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic, yeah. So, Bileyg, you want to approach... I assume you're hearing kind of this. You go over to
Yeah,
approach Aura.
sort of keeping an ear
Oobtaglor, is
open.
there anything else you want to say to Rafferty is this guy's name.
Rafferty.
Yeah.
I'll just sort of offer my general condolences. Upon hearing that, like, gems were being used in the installation and, like, general finery was being used in the installation, I'll just go and I'll check whether or not, like, anything might have been stolen, not from Koa, but from the wall itself. Because
Gotcha.
otherwise, it's generally making it seem like Koa walked in on this act of sabotage and was just an unfortunate byproduct of having walked in on it.
Mm-hmm. All right, so you hear that. You go off to investigate. Bileyg, you want to go talk to the halfling. You want to go talk to Aura.
Yeah.
You head over. She is... like, she's got a wrench that's about the size of her, and it's just, like, pulling down over tightening something, and you could tell she's, like, over-tightening it a little bit. You can start to see hear the squeak of metal, and hear the squeak of her teeth as she's gritted, and, she sees you approach, wipes her forehead, and then gets right back to work, and says, "Yeah, what can I help you with?"
Ooh, I'm terribly sorry to disturb you, ma'am. We're investigating the unfortunate death of your colleague, and as I understand
Don't they
it,
call
you were
it
the
murder?
first. Well, yes, that does seem the most likely outcome, but since we currently don't have any particular leads on where to look, I understand you were the first on the scene. Is there anything that you think might help us find either the murderer, the murder weapon, anything that could help us track down those perpetrators responsible?
Pulls again on the...
I really think that's really wedged in there.
She kind of stops for a sec, says, "Yeah,
Not to
just
tell
a
you how
lot.
to do your
I
job,
mean-
of course, but
all this, it's been," like, looks up at a big clock that's on the wall that's still got, like, a piece missing. Cool steampunk style. You can see, like, gears behind the face of it.
so cool.
God, it's 4 hours. Just 4 hours. I don't know. Help you find? I don't know a single person who had a problem with Koa. Nice guy. A little nervous, honestly. It's kind of funny. Such a big person everywhere he went. He always looking like he forgot something, looking like someone was going to jump on him out of nowhere, out of the shadows, but wouldn't hurt a fly. It's not right. It's not right.
Pardon the question, but do you think it's possible that someone actually was out to get him?
Unless he was living some secret double life, which It's Sigil. Stranger things have happened. No, not she. The Modrons come over to keep working on the part she's been tightening, and she's like, no, and like shoos them off.
Well, I suppose we can table that possibility for another time. Perhaps more relevantly, do you know anybody who might be trying to stop your project here? I would think that easy, quick interplane travel would only benefit Sigil.
Yeah, anyone wants to stop our work here? Yeah, you know anyone who wants to stop rich people from getting richer?
Oh, I see. So this train, it wouldn't so much be a humanitarian project, as it were. It's more of a trade route for the people who already have trade routes.
Humanitarian? You new to Sigil?
Yeah, a little
It's not
bit.
for regular folk to get off plane. She starts like working on the next set of pipes, screwing in the next piece to like attach the fittings, putting some like a little adhesive and stuff. Says, no, it's not for regular people to get out of Sigil. It's for expensive shit to get brought in and expensive people to get brought out, probably.
Well, that's a bit of a
Not
shame,
saying
I
it's a bad
suppose.
thing. Hey, work is work. I'm happy to be working on something this prestigious. Our last job was in the Hive Ward. Had to have
Ooh.
security around the whole time.
Oh,
But
it's not so bad down there.
Of course, probably could have used a lot more here, huh? She kind of gets like really morose at that thought, as like she realizes like, oh, we've worked really dangerous places, and then this like pretty prestigious job is where one of us got hurt.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry sorry to bring up the harmful memories, ma'am. I tell you, I'm a little bit stumped on this one. Doesn't seem like your friend had any enemies in high places, and I suppose maybe he just stumbled in at the wrong time, but have there been any sorts of threats? Is this the first time this area's been sabotaged?
Go ahead and roll a persuasion check.
Oh, okay. 22.
Nice.
I was rolling to see how resistant she would be, because you've gone from like cursory stuff to a little bit more secrets of the trade, but with a even 20, you still managed to beat her resistance. I will say you do sense like some reluctance. There is, even though you're trying to help out, there is a sense of like, who are these people? All these other people who work here know each other and they know Koa. So there's definitely the sense of like, who are these strange people coming in, saying they're gonna help out? Are they like, we know you guys are heroic, but there are plenty of people who just like want to make a quick gold, and they don't know that you aren't those charlatans, right?
That's
But you see, she says, to be honest, PTC has been pretty quiet about it, and they haven't wanted to telegraph because I think they don't want. Honestly, I can't really scrutinize what they want. I guess it's just to not show weakness, some sort of power play, but we don't think it's the first time. It's been hard to say. Nothing's been as overt as she nods towards the piece of wall that's been smashed up a bunch. It's never been as overt, but fittings that were placed the day before we come in, they're gone. They're undone. We could have sworn we did it. They're undone. Supplies that we should be looking for, they are, supplies that we need, they've been moved, and it takes us 2 hours to find it. Kills a bunch of time. Little things like that. No one fesses up to it. No one says that they've been doing it. I figured we just having bad luck, but now it seems like maybe it was all connected. Like I said, the top brass, they never really seemed to care. We were only a little behind schedule, and we're pretty hard workers. We're able to get back on track, but this is severe.
I
God's,
see.
it's severe.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. And nobody's taken any credit. You haven't heard any rumblings from the people of this neighborhood? I mean, of course, I don't know if you're a local girl or anything like that, but, if there's been any discussion, obviously a big public work like this, or I suppose private work, not necessarily the most popular development, as you alluded to earlier.
public. I mean, public and private have weird connotations. There's no government in Sigil, right? Like, it is run by people, but ostensibly it's people who got into position by already being powerful. So it's like, what is public? Like, you know, no one elected anyone here. You know, the people, the public would be, I assume, like the lady and the Dabus. So in that sense, that's really only like basic infrastructure stuff. Everything else is private. So, but you know, I take your meaning. She takes your meaning as well. She's like, folks seem pretty excited about it. I mean, it's big, it's shiny, it's new. What's not to be excited about? It's going to bring in more money. Of course, most of it's going to go to some people, but you know, we're doing pretty good, making a nice gold off of it as it is.
And it's been sabotage, but not theft so much, it sounds like. I mean, this is quite the expensive establishment, but doesn't seem like parts have been missing, just misplaced, slowing the construction down up till now.
Nothing I know of's gone.
Very interesting. I suppose one last question. Do you know if the deceased had any family that needs to be informed? Anybody who was taken care of?
Nope, just the guild. For the most of us, that's all the family there is.
I see. Well, again, ma'am, I'm very sorry for your loss, and I'll hopefully we'll be able to find whoever did this.
Okay. Who else would like to investigate anywhere?
I wanted
Or
to double
perform
check
any
the,
other investigations? Yes.
I wanted
Noir
to
and
double check
Sophia.
the sabotage wall.
What would you like to look at, Noir?
I wanted to look at the sabotage wall to see if any of like the jewelry, the gems that Rafferty was talking about were taken, or if any of the gold filigree was stolen or anything.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to look into?
Wally, please.
Yeah.
Go for it,
Evrard's gonna. He's been standing over this body, letting everybody else do the talking. I guess the loud construction noise is turned into white noise in the back of his mind. There's a missing murder weapon.
Yes.
And which we need to find. And we also he needs to know where this person is going. This seems to him like this sabotage is personal. Someone does not like what's happening here, and that Koa might have just been an unfortunate murder on the way. Like an unfortunate victim to what was supposed to be a lesser crime. So I'd like to roll a survival check to look for footprints, like blood drops, some sort of indication of the direction this person was going from or going to. In and out of this crime scene.
I will allow that survival for reasons I think that will become clear after the survival. So, Noir investigating the wall, you're looking for the murder weapon, kind of doing a general track around here.
Yes.
Sophia, did you have something else you wanted to do as well?
Yeah, Ingrid's sort of starting to formulate a similar but slightly different idea of this is a big project. This is the kind of thing that you can make a lot of money on if you have a contract to work on it, like the guild does. Could the sabotage be intentional? And if so, maybe someone who's an expert in what the work they're doing would be able to, like, say, oh, well, this has made these XYZ delays, or we've noticed sabotage is, like, particularly professionally done or done by someone who has an expertise in it. So I would be looking for, like, a foreman or a manager of some kind, maybe talk to and ask about specifically, like, the recent strings of sabotage and how, what kind of damage has been done and how they've been fixing it.
All right. I'm excited for these checks. I'm going to go in the order I think the fastest. So, Noir, go ahead and roll your investigation check. I think that's going to be the fastest to resolve.
Okay. 18.
18. Nothing appears to have been stolen or missing to your fairly acute eye. It seems like everything that's there is broken. Anything that seems like it might have been missing is on the floor, basically. So there are no gold or gems. And this part is not specifically done. It's still in progress. Like I said, it's a lot of the underlying mechanisms. Whatever this thing is, it's a big freaking contraption. Well, whatever this thing is. So it does not seem like there was any theft there. Let's go over to Sophia. Sophia... It's difficult to describe because there does not seem to be a foreman here. The people that are working are generally of It seems like they kind of know what they're doing. They know their jobs. They're working diligently on it. But you've heard mention of a guild. They must belong to a boss. And you start snooping around. And I'll say that you do see that there are like small rooms here. So there's like catwalks in some places, and underneath there are rooms, presumably that are going to be used as offices at some point in the future, and one of them has like a whole bunch of stacked papers in it. And you think before to what what's his name, Lazaro? Victoria's gonna kill me because she always tells me how to pronounce these things and I forget. Lazaro mentioned like they deal in paper, and so you go inside. Go ahead and roll me an investigation check if you think that's appropriate for what you're looking for.
Yes, very much so. It's a 19 plus 8, so that's going to be a nice hearty 27.
You start thinking that there are going to be... You start thinking about that this might be inside job, that this might be the kind of thing that whatever guild this is has their own hands in. And you start looking through, and you notice that all of these papers are stamped with the guild's name. It's called the Stone and Cog.
Stone and Cog.
Stone and Cog. They're a construction business. They're a construction guild basically, and they work in stone and metal, thus their names. So they are kind of the perfect group to outsource this project for. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Including Koa, there are 6 people on the project. I'll list their names. Rafferty, you've met. Mm-hmm. Koa, you've met. Aura, you've met. There's also Cloyd. Fane. And Maynard. So there are 6 total individuals that are listed on a lot of these papers, along with a name. A lot of this stuff is signed Sken Leafwood, who is not listed. Who listed as one of the proprietor, like one of the guild heads, one of the owners of this business. Guild and business are distinct, but in this case, the lines are more blurred than usual. Sken Leafwood has signed off on a lot of this stuff. You also see that there is a long list of deliveries, and they're all being brought in by the same person, whose signature is incredibly difficult to make out, but it says Dev. That's the best D-E-V. It's the best you can get from it. It's very sloppy handwriting. And that is where most of the stuff... He's part of the Dockworkers Guild, and he is the one who is listed as bringing things in.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it seems like they are the ones doing basically all of the work here, and there's a lot of stuff talking about, like, it's them with the help of all these assistants, which have been the other side of the paperwork is from Mechanus, and the people who are building the Concord Express, which is the train that's going to dock here, and they have loaned the use of the Modrons to facilitate this project.
Okay, flipping through. Interesting. And a cursory glance around the room, there's no little keyholes that look like they might go with the key we found on our person, is there?
On a 28, I'll say that there is, and it's, if you would like to investigate, this is the place where they keep, it's a large safe with a small keyhole, there's a lot of tumblers in it, and it is where they keep the gems and gold on site that are going to be used. So as you investigate there, you open it and you see that they are all neatly placed away in those kind of classic, like, slide out boxes that keep diamonds and stuff. Like, it's not just a bag of diamonds, the Seven Dwarfs style. Yeah. It's all like nicely organized in here. And you're like, oh, that makes sense. That's what Koa worked on. That's what that key was all about.
Great. And there's I don't spot like the murder weapon or something. None of the gems they have like blood on them.
No.
Big old crowbar.
Speaking of, though, I would love for Wally to please roll a survival check.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. 14 plus 6, dirty 20.
Ooh, okay. Dirty 20. Most other people would miss it. There is a lot of open floor here. But as you're looking around, some of the gears are already moving, by the way. As you're looking around, you start you start looking around. You see just a little ways away, like a couple steps from where the body fell, you see a little drop of blood on the ground. And to most people, that wouldn't be enough. But it gives you a trajectory, and as you're watching with your keen eye, you see as a gear on the floor, like in an open grate, turns, you see another drop there. And that gives you, now you have a direction, now you have a heading, you have 2 points, and you can form a straight line. Mm-hmm. And you start following. To anyone else, it wouldn't have appeared because they would have looked and they would have missed it as the gears are turning. You start following, and you come and you see just a half drop that fell on the edge of the wall down to where the tracks are. The tracks are down in the floor, subway style.
Okay.
And on the edge of that lip, you see a half drop, so it must have, like, just hit. You get down into where that is, and you see tucked up underneath the lip here, 2 things. The first is a murder weapon. The murder weapon. The first is a murder weapon, not to this one though, guys.
Yeah, completely unrelated
The first is
single
the murder
crime. You know
weapon.
how this city is.
Translation
It is a-
really good for story murder.
That's why I left the other murder weapon. Okay.
It is a hammer, and it is an identical hammer to all the other ones that are being used around by people here. You see them in tool belts and stuff like that. There is probably some pile of them somewhere, along with other tools. You see the hammer with blood, and you also see a mark drawn in grease about a foot away. It's a series of, like, almost looks like spikes and stuff like that. 3 of them in a parallel in a row, and then 2 more parallel ones. I'm not even going to ask you to roll for this one, because you immediately recognize the call sign of the Grigzit when you see it.
The what?
This.
Wally's friend. Or not Wally's friend, but Evrard's friend.
This is
This
Wally's
is what I was
friend.
afraid of.
Yeah, we got him.
Monsieur Bileyg, and Madame
Ingrid.
over here.
Whoa.
We have ourselves a bit of an issue. The good news is, I guess I'll take the. He'll put on a white glove, gingerly pull out the book.
We don't have forensics, Evrard.
Pull out
Maybe
the
we'll
murder
invent
weapon.
fingerprinting in this
Pile-
episode.
Who
A
knows?
puddle of the murderer's blood.
I've got
Gross.
my
Clean it up.
compact
Gross,
full
mop
of
it up.
powder, and if we just ever so slightly dab it on the item, we can then lift a print.
You need to roll a 30 investigation
nonsense
to
are
invent
you talking
fingerprinting.
about?
And then he will point to
I
the
think I know if my fingers had prints
symbol
on them.
of written in oil. It was
Grease?
Yeah, like grease.
Grease. Yes. I'm afraid we are dealing with a very dangerous individual.
Oh.
Oh dear. Care to...
Care to elaborate
Yes.
for us?
Yes,
Please.
what does this symbol mean?
I once did a job for this individual. It ended up it ultimately ended in the state that I am in right now. This is part of the reason why I'm working for you. This individual does not like the portals and traveling in that the city. They go out of their way to make sure that if they can, they close as many as they want. So I understand why they would want to sabotage such a construction as grand and as très merveilleuse, really, if you look at all of this. I can see why it makes them very mad. And unfortunately, this person is extremely hard to find.
I wouldn't say that that's necessarily true. You know, you haven't seen them since the job went down, but you know where they hang out. Where she hangs out.
I do have a lead. So if we are finished here, we have some place to go. And I believe, let me
Lead
look
the
my
way,
notes
then.
real quick. They hang out at the sandstone strip in the High Board.
Ooh,
Yes.
No place like home.
The sandstone strip, indeed. It refers to a specific piece of a neighborhood. So there's like, what is it called? Sandstone something is the neighborhood, and then the sandstone strip is a like even smaller piece of that neighborhood. Let me see if I can bring it up real quick. But yeah, you do know they are around there. Sandstone District. Probably could have guessed that one. And the sandstone strip is a specific piece of that area.
Well, I think we found out all we can here. It seems that this really does restructure everything. I can't imagine that a member of the crew would go out of their way to close the portal, but... Well, let's keep it never mind. Maybe they hired out your friend. And if not, well, we've made it very easy to find our suspect.
We know.
Right.
It might not even be her. So, is
this symbol particularly well known that somebody could frame her for this?
This seems like
She's
something
kind of like public enemy number one.
Yes.
So, yes.
Yes.
I mean, how much someone would know the symbol is kind of up for interpretation. Like, how many people know, like, you know, exactly the details of the Zodiac Killer? But certainly, it's not... Yeah, people could know. I would say it's not common knowledge, but you're also like, I can't really rule out as this, like, only people who have met her would know this. This is something that a regular person could know.
Evrard, can I ask, how fresh did this symbol look?
Obviously this crime happened overnight, correct? So
you want to do... You could look at this symbol if you want. Maybe...
Sure.
I feel like that would be like an investigate. You're trying to determine how old it is. I mean, Ingrid can do this too if she wants. Whoever wants to.
Sure.
I feel like that's an investigation unless someone else has an argument for a different kind of check.
I'll investigate it. I like doing that.
I don't have an argument for a check, but we do know that the murder weapon got stowed almost immediately after the murder because it was still dripping liquid blood, so it had no time to dry.
Yeah, I guess I'm just asking, like, if the person... My thought process is, if the murderer is trying to misdirect us, maybe they saw a bunch of detectives arrive and thought, oh, I need to very quickly...
Yeah,
you know?
the symbol might have already been here.
Yeah. That is a
Right.
21 investigation.
If you're trying to announce your actions, wouldn't you do it in a place that's a little more visible?
On a 21, setting this as a hard DC 20. You go, this is definitely dry. This has not been painted since you got here, but there's a certain, like, brown grossness that oil takes on after the grease takes on after it's been like a long time. And judging from how long ago this must have happened, you're like, this is after the fact. This is like this morning. This is like an hour or 2 hours or 5 hours or 6 hours ago? ? But this definitely was... This was after the weapon was stowed. The timeline is not lining up here.
Not to put the kibosh immediately on your thought process and reunion with a friend, but I suspect we're looking at a bit more of an internal job than initially appears. Not saying it's not worth a visit, but this is much fresher than the murder itself.
Evrard, I trust that you know this woman somewhat well. The other laborers were describing subtle sabotage that the PTC was perhaps keeping on the down low for various reasons. Does that seem like her MO, or would she be a little bit more guns blazing, smashing, potentially murdering?
I know this woman as well as anybody can know this woman, which is not always that much. This does seem her distrust of the infrastructure of the city. This does seem like something she would do, but other people would share that same sentiment. So I think that I am hesitant to go see this individual again. So I'm more than happy to wait and follow Ingrid's lead here. The more I can wait to go see this woman again, I'd be happy to do that.
Well, perhaps we can kill a few birds with a single stone. I found a list of all of the guild owners, and our victim is one of them. Bileyg, I believe you were talking to another, Aura, and The rest are listed here on this account. There's also the owner of the guild itself, one Scan Leafwood, and someone named Dev, who has terrible handwriting but does sign for every delivery. Now, if I were to be hoping to gain further funding by delaying a project, I would probably be one of the higher-ups in its organization, because I'm doubtful that the average Joe is so concerned with the length of their contract, as they'll always get another one. The owners, however, might be more interested in extending their stay on this site.
Well, I think that's certainly a promising lead, but it does occur to me that it seems possible that Evrad's lady friend was here last night and therefore may know something,
Entirely.
even if she did not in fact commit the murder. So, Evrard, I completely respect you. Definitely don't need to reconfront her. However, I do think I will attempt to seek her out and possibly have a nice little chat. See if she can help me out a little bit.
Not to mention, I don't think that she will be very amenable to the idea that someone is framing her, even if it is for a cause that she is similarly aligned with.
That too.
Having a fifth person hunt our suspect down might be within our favor all the same.
Well, Oobtaglor, if you'd like to tag along, I certainly don't need to confront her on my own.
I would remind you
would
both
be
that
happy
we
to
don't
join.
get paid unless we deliver the murderer, but all the same, it isn't that awful an idea to go see her. Evrard, do you want to go see your old friend, or would you prefer to do something else? I could be convinced to go speak with the guild owner if it came to it.
I think that we could split up. You can go see my old friend, and I will accompany Madame Ingrid here. We go talk to the guild owners.
I do want to say, because this is something Bileyg would know, as you, Ingrid is kind of showing the sheet, some of the contracts, and you do see it says the Stone and Cog. You do know some people who work for the Stone and Cog.
I thought I might.
Yes.
So I know Schist and Clacker. They, it didn't say that they worked for Stone and Cog in my notes, but they are
my mistake.
Petch
They
construction
do work
workers.
Yes, they do work for the Stone and Cog.
Okay, great. I'll add that to my notes. I mean, if you guys are going to be doing the, let's see, I don't know where they work, but yeah, it could just be like I actually do know a couple of the employees of the Stone and Cog, Schist and Clacker, although you could tell them I sent you, but you might have better luck if you don't, honestly. There was a bit of a language barrier the first time we met. It was I was new to the city. It was a little embarrassing, but they're great guys, really.
I think I'm in agreement, however, that if there was anyone at the Stone and Cog who would benefit from an extended period of work, it would be the higher-ups rather than the laborers. I mean, we can ask now, are these laborers going to continue being paid if they were to keep working? But it seems as though they'd be docked for not meeting deadlines,
That
is my intuition at least.
depends on their contract, and as we know, our client is rather fond of those.
Well, I believe we've got two different approaches of investigation to pursue. Shall we?
Yes, it sounds
Split
like
up
we're
and see what we can
splitting the
find.
party.
All right, split up and search for clues.
Badly.
Scuba
Yeah.
now go this way. Fantastic. So you've got one lead, which is the Grigsit, and you have another lead, which is the Stone and Cog. Who is going to go where?
I believe it's
As we conclude this first investigation scene.
Ingrid and Lepan to the Stone and Cog, and Oobtaglor and
Bileyg and
Bileyg
Oopsie Baby to
Oopsie Baby.
the Grigsit.
Do try to be charming. This is the criminal
I did it
underworld
again.
you'll be talking to.
Oh, I'm sure we can come to some sort of understanding. She seems like a consistent lady.
And just in case you need help getting into contact with her, he's going to pluck out one of the flowers that he keeps in his breast pocket, and he will give it to Bileyg.
Oh,
She will recognize this.
that's very kind of you.
This is also exciting, isn't it? We're in a real whodunit.
And with that, you each depart to your own investigations. And it's a little early, but I think now might be a good time to take a break. So we'll see everyone back in just a minute.
Rolling with difficulty.
Have you ever wanted a weird little dude all your own? Well, now you can get one. Starting right now with this episode's release, Rolling with Difficulty is partnering with CrowdMate to create and sell pins of our favorite RoboCat, Plug. Now you can show off your captain status in style. This enamel pin of our best boy is not only beautifully designed by campaign artist Wally, but his little head actually bobbles, nodding along to your luckiest of bolts. Pre-orders are live from now until July 22nd and are expected to ship out in August, so if you want to get a little guy all your own, go right on down to those show notes, check out the link, and order yourself a weird little dude. I know I'm excited to have my little enamel plug hanging out and telling me that all my decisions are good ones, and I hope that you guys enjoy him as well. Thanks for listening.
Rolling with Difficulty.
And welcome back. When last we left our heroes, they were journeying to two different but not too far away places, actually. Those who are venturing to the Stone and Cog need only head over to the Gymnasium District in the adjacent, what was once the Guild Hall Ward and is now the Guild Ward, rather. And here in the Gymnasium District is the location that you're looking for. The look of this building, if you haven't been here before, you wouldn't know it, but is constantly changing. Far from the small, humble thing that it was many, many years ago, it has grown, but even more than that, the people, the proprietors who are in charge are constantly charging it with redesign and trying to give it a fresh face. Today, you find it 3 stories tall and cream-colored, jutting out distinctly with a plane of water architectural style. The way that the blocks are cut and the way that the smooth lines of the building all flow together, windows and trim and doorways alike, all kind of leading one into the next, a beautiful trick of the eye. There is great business happening here, and as we arrive, I believe this is Evrard and Ingrid, and also the cat Sigil arriving on the scene.
Loud ass cat.
Yes, Ziggy, you are an investigator, aren't you? Say hello. Oh, now you're quiet.
Now you're giving
Here
her
on
attention,
Astoria
so.
Road, we find our heroes. What would you like to do?
Before we step inside, Evrard's going to turn to Ingrid in a relatively serious tone. Madame Ingrid, I must say, I have to apologize. I do not like my past interfering with the good work that we are doing here. And I'd like to hope that this is merely a coincidence, and that this does not continue to intrude in the work that we do.
I appreciate your candor. It is no easy thing when your past comes back to haunt you in whatever form that may be. I choose to embrace everything I am and was wholeheartedly, but I know that's not everyone's distinction. There's no hard feelings. Let us just throw ourselves into the case and hope that the hunch that your friend is merely a red herring is a true one, and if not, we'll deal with it as a company, as a group.
After you, madame.
I will
And he will open the
strut
door.
in with all of the bombast and air of importance that I can possibly muster.
All right, you walk in and you see, yeah, there is a basically like. All right, so this is not a place that normal people usually walk into looking to solicit business. So there is a desk here that is being attended by a dwarf, but you don't. There's not like it's not super welcoming, and in fact, this administrator, you might call him, is kind of surprised to see 2 people that he doesn't recognize walk in. There is some busyness going about. You see, like, there's like a hallway back, and there's back rooms. People are walking back and forth. You see there's a big map of Sigil on the wall with a bunch of flags, presumably like active projects and things like that. But this person, like, kind of this dwarf looks up at you, kind of surprised, and says, welcome to the Stone and Cog. What can I help you with?
Hello, my name is Ingrid Starling. I'm here on behalf of Open and Shut Investigations, along with my associate, and we need to speak with the proprietor of your guild. It regards a certain happening on one of your job sites that we've been asked to look into.
Starts like flipping through some papers. I don't see any note of you coming. Do you have a meeting scheduled, or?
No, unfortunately, murder doesn't often allow one to schedule a meeting ahead of time.
I feel like this is an intimidation check.
Excellent.
Am I correct in saying that?
Sure.
Okay.
I like to be intimidating. I don't get to do that very often. That's a dirty 20.
Oof, sheesh, your dice are hot.
Right this way. And who were you hoping to speak with?
Scan would be lovely if they're available, and if not, we do have the names of the folks involved on the job, although a few of them we did run into on the job site itself, so Scan if they're available.
Certainly. Let me check. It does seem that Scan is in. I will let him know. Follow me. He takes you back, and you guys go up a flight of stairs. There are various rooms here that are clearly offices. There are break rooms. You see a lot of people like gearing up and heading out. But he takes you up to the very top floor, and there are offices. You also pass. I'll let you guys know. There are several people in charge of this business. The other names you see written on the doors are Cha, Tcha, and Phyton. It'd probably be Phyton. Phyton. But then leads you finally to a door that is labeled Sken Leafwood. He gives a knock. You hear a very muffled enter. The dwarf motions for you to wait there, enters, is kind of gone for a minute. There's like a little bit of chatter, and then the dwarf comes back out. He says, Scan Leafwood has made some time to speak with you, so if you would just kindly step this way, please have a seat.
Thank you, and I will barge into the room.
All right, you enter to see a lovely room it's very well furnished, it's very pretty, and behind a large, rose-colored wooden desk is an elf. He looks like a wood elf to you. He's got very faint green skin, long, my elves I always imagine having like very long ears, like extend beyond the head, It's
Warcraft.
I imagine they're very
Floppy.
Mobile.
They show emotion the same way a human's eyebrows are important for distinguishing emotion, right?
Okay.
Yes.
So
peak ear design.
It's not they're floppy. It's that they're constantly moving, and if you're not super used to elves, you might not pick up on things. Same way,
They're
like
expressive.
if you never had eyebrows and you came into a site with people with eyebrows, you'd be like, "What's all that eyebrow movement about?" Right? Like we show emotions other ways, but to elves, it's important. So you can see this very relaxed. Has feet up and is currently like looking at like one piece of paper lazily. You've seen a lot of people handling paperwork today, and this guy's just holding one piece of paper, like kind of nonchalantly. Places it down, and welcomes you to sit. Says, "Please come sit. I'm sorry my assistant there did not get your names, but I'm certain that you must know mine. My name is Sken Leafwood. Pleasure to make your acquaintance, and who am I speaking to?"
Ingrid Starling. Scan, I'm charmed, and I'm sure you are as well. And this is my associate, and Ingrid will gesture for Lapin to introduce himself.
Lapin will...
Charmed most certainly. He interrupts Evrard immediately. Goes, "Charmed most certainly indeed.
Everyone,
seem-
half on the bow, goes right back up and sort of glares at him.
You seem vaguely familiar to me. Have I perhaps built a house or, dressed so fancy as yourself, a mansion for you somewhere in the city?"
You are a charmer. You may, know me from my stage career. I have something of a reputation amongst the finer and skeevier taverns of Sigil, but I'm here in a professional capacity of a different kind today. Have you heard of Open and Shut Investigations?
I have not, but perhaps I should have if you're involved with it. Oh, I remember. Yes, Ingrid Starling. You played the Dipping Dragon Inn some time ago.
Yes! Oh, lovely joint. Oh, it's
I
lovely.
designed that before taking on my role here at the Stone and Cog. That was a bit of my handiwork that got me recognized in the first place. I'm sure you remember. It's quite intricately designed. There's great influence drawn from Mechanist and Limbo architectural styles. Like, no need for me to bore you with that tale, though.
Well, I have
What
to
can I do
compliment
for
you
such
on your
such
acoustic
an
work.
esteemed
It sounds
performer?
marvelous in there.
Everyone's eyes
What
are
can I do for such an
rolling
esteemed performer
so
as
much in
yourselves? I'm
his head
told
right
that
now.
you're looking into the murder. That grisly business can't possibly be correct.
Well, I like to be something of a Renaissance woman, and, well, you got to keep the mind sharp. So I've been turning to more investigative pursuits lately, and in that capacity, my associate and I are here to ask around after the murder at one of your job sites. We've been hired by the Planar Trade Consortium to get to the bottom of it, and, well, that's just what we intend to do. Now, how familiar are you with a Goliath named Koa?
Met him many times, in fact. He is one of the many members of the guild here. I did not know too much about him personally, but his comings and goings. He was often stationed in the building. A quiet fellow, I would say, but a hard worker. Came with many recommendations before he was accepted into the guild. A no-brainer, if I recall, though it might have been Cha who handled that exact line of detail in the business. Has worked here for several years and never had a complaint. Never, to my knowledge, cost us any time or money. Diligent, hardworking, careful, meticulous, all things we value here at the Stone and Cog. Heartbreaking to see him gone. We saw about sending flowers to any deceased, but to any loved ones of the deceased, but it did not seem that there were any. Pity, but I'm glad that someone is taking an interest in his death. It was, as I said, a rather harsh loss for us.
Yes, it is deeply tragic, and our condolences for your loss. They were a jeweler, I take it.
In trade, among other things, that was their specialty, and that was what we assigned them to on this job, if I recall. Picks up one piece of paper, like, lazily half lifts it to look... But, like, you're like, there's no way that dude read anything underneath the paper when he lifts it up and he drops it down.
Yeah.
Says, yes, that was indeed what they were to be focused on while there. Large hands, but very delicate and precise.
You never can judge a book by its cover. Now, we need to...
Certainly not in Sigil.
Now, we needed to establish a finer picture of the scene of the crime, as it were, and I'd hoped you'd be able to fill in some details of how the project had been going for us. We noticed that there seemed to be evidence of sabotage at a few locations in the establishment. Have you been having issues?
Sabotage? I mean, I heard that was part of this problem, but not to my knowledge any large issues. He actually takes an interest now, like kind of sits up and looks through some papers. He says, yes, it does seem that we're behind a little bit, but everything takes twice as long and costs 3 times as much, which is why we're lucky to have the PTC footing the bill. But, yes, so I expected some delays. Nothing striking here, however.
Could I make an insight check on this statement to see if he's trying to cover up knowing more about the sabotage ahead of time, or, like, you know, underselling it a little bit?
Yeah, go ahead. Roll an insight check.
Sweet. That's a 17.
17. You see he's definitely trying to play it cool. There's not a sense of, like, you're on to him, as if he is behind the sabotage and you've caught on to a lie, but definitely the sense of him being a businessman, being like, we could never be sabotaged, like, we're far too good. Like, he definitely knows there are delays that shouldn't have happened, and he's just trying to like, subtly cover that up, to make it seem like they're running as expected. He's trying to preserve their good name.
My dear, I have no intention of dragging your good name through the mud. I understand that in business, it can be very difficult to keep a project on time, and I commend the work you're doing, but it is critical that we have an accurate portrait of what work has been like if we are to find the murderer of your fellow. Are you sure there's been no sabotage or delays of this project that you've noticed that could help point us in the direction of someone who might be interested in causing such delays.
You see, he lifts up another, like, he considers for a moment, then he lifts up another piece of paper, and he goes, "Ah, I do see that there were some strange misfilings, perhaps, misplaced gear or other equipment, perhaps some projects being double-logged. Perhaps this is that sabotage, if you were to call it, but seems rather subtle to me, nothing extreme again until today. I don't know that I would call those sabotage rather than workplace mishaps. These things happen, we're all only mortal after all."
Of course. And these double filings, are they any particular employer of yours? Just to give us an idea of what the job site flow looks like. I know there's a couple folks involved in the management of it all. I saw Koa as one of them, and Aura, Claude, Kane, Maynard, and Ricciardi, I believe?
Everyone's going to lean forward. Don't forget about the delivery.
Yes. And many deliveries signed for by a dev. Now, are these the names that you see in all of your documents as well? And maybe you could fill us in on what they do at the particular site.
Takes a look. I don't know this dock worker. I don't manage the deliveries down there. But yes, these are the individuals assigned to oversee the various projects. We have, and basically goes down and runs through, like, they're in charge of some overlapping things. Masonry, various stonework. There are multiple people who are assigned to the what's the one for the cogs, the clockwork. You already know that Aura was doing the pipes, doing the, like, it's not plumbing so much as steam.
Okay.
That the steam power that's being channeled through there.
Technically, steam is water. But not.
Technically, steam is water. So, Rafferty is working on various clockwork. Cloyd the gnome is also working on various clockwork. Aura was working on the steam fittings. Fane working on masonry, and Maynard working on other general stonework. And then the fine details, the embellishments and stuff, being worked on, as you know, by Koa.
And just between us, has any one department had more delays or errors than others? Again, I don't intend to get anyone in trouble, but we have to have an accurate picture.
Go ahead and roll me a persuasion check.
Yeah. Come on, persuasion. You're good at these, Ingrid. Don't fuck it. Okay, not terrible. 18.
Well, I don't know off the top of my head. Okay. Says, I don't know off the top of my head, but I could lend you the paperwork if you'd like to get a better look at the trail. I manage very many projects, so it's hard for me to keep the exact details straight in my mind. But if you'd like to, I could lead you down to one of our storage rooms where we've been keeping track of such workings. The PTC is very much a stickler for this sort of thing being tracked. Every dime must be accounted for, so...
Don't I know it? You wouldn't believe the contract they had us sign just to investigate this case. I would love to take a look, if you'd be so kind. And also, I would like to make another insight check to see if he's actually going to show the paperwork, or we're about to get ambushed or something.
Gotcha. I would say you've already done an insight check on this, so I would say that if there was like a bigger liar trying to catch him in, but I'm going to continue with your good insight check from before and your subsequent persuasion check. Yeah, this guy is being truthful in this.
Okay. Yeah, then...
fantastic. Evrard, is there anything you would like to get up to in this present moment or upcoming? Because we're going to cut to the other scene here, but if there's anything small you want to do now, or maybe something we could start in cliffhanger before we head over to the other heroes.
As the conversation I guess everyone's getting up. We're going to go see the paperwork. Evrard's going to try to get a word into Leafwood's ear and says, "Look, Monsieur, you've been very helpful in this investigation. I will say that of all the leads that we do have, this sabotage that we are looking into could very much continue to be a thorn in your side if we don't get exactly what we need as quickly as we need. So, if there is anything pertinent, anything unusual that you hear from any of your job sites in the infrastructures that you do in and around the city, it is important that you contact us, particularly me, if you can. I am simply known as Lapin, and please, anything unusual, let me know.
I'll be sure to keep that in mind. Is there some effect you're trying to specifically get here, or just putting making yourself known in this conversation where he's largely been ignoring you?
I guess everyone's mostly trying to say that, hey, there is some underlying thing happening that might be bigger than just this one investigation, and he's trying to establish contact, like, hey, like, if you need someone to he wants to know this information is very important to him, and it's slightly unrelated to the case.
All right, go ahead and roll me a persuasion check.
Okay. That is a 14 plus 6, I believe. Persuasion plus 8, actually. Okay, 22.
Very nice.
I'm sorry, I don't think we were properly introduced. I'm scanned.
Oh, I will say, he'll say this in Elvish. If anything,
Very
just
nice.
to butter him up.
You get his attention finally by speaking in Elvish,
Yes.
and he says, I don't think we've been properly introduced. Introduces himself again. And then he says, it's bad for business to have an enemy. If there is one, we have a vested interest in seeing this person captured and their works ended. Anything I can think of, I promise, I will let both of you know. You will be shown. He opens the door, speaks to the dwarf a couple words, and says, you will be shown to where we're keeping our records. Do try not to stray. You are strange faces in the building, and, well, there's lots of dangerous equipment about. I would hate for anyone to get injured, you know?
Oh, yes. Terrible. And can I just thank you for your assistance today? It's been just lovely chatting with you. If you ever find yourself in the Woodman's Retreat or any of the other bars in the area, be sure to tell them Ingrid sent you. You can get a drink on the house from me. And we'll have to catch up over tea sometime. Truly charming, darling.
I've never turned down a free drink before, and I certainly won't in the future. Good luck in your investigation.
Thank you. Ta-ta!
All right. And with that, we are going to cut away, as you guys are led to go do some more investigations, we are going to cut away to another, less fancy part of the city.
Probably the least fancy part of the city.
In the sandstone strip, adjacent to the Hive Ward. Your rendezvous with Evrard's former conspirator takes you shockingly close to your last case, actually.
Ooh.
But that does make some sense. The kind of neighborhood where people don't notice when someone goes missing is the exact kind of place you go if you don't want to be found. As you approach, you swear you can even see the pointy top of that architectural horror you know is lying in wait for its next meal. But you aren't visiting his slags today. Instead, you're entering the sandstone strip. The walkways here are narrow, even for Sigil. The buildings built into one another so intricately, it can't have been just to save space. And all of it, the dull red of dried blood. The color of the sandstone that gives this neighborhood its name. Oobtaglor, Bileyg, what would you like to do as you just enter this neighborhood looking for one person in hiding?
How coyly do you want to take this? How do you want to play this, Bileyg?
Oh, well,
Assuming that we find her, which we will, of course. We're such ace detectives and all.
Naturally. I assume Evrard gave us, at least a little bit of direction. But, I've never really been one for subterfuge.
She hides out here, but Evrard doesn't know exactly, he doesn't have, an inn or a building or something. This is a bunch of, little alleyways and, buildings that seem to just be one building, and then there's a back entrance into another building which has its own like courtyard and like things up. It's a little bit of a labyrinth. This is a place you go to hide, you know?
I tell ya, are we sure the rest of this neighborhood isn't also a mimic?
Let's not think about that, shall we?
Yeah, all right. Well, I have discovered that one of the easiest ways to find trouble in Sigil is to simply go looking for it. So, I think if we stroll in somewhere nice and obvious and, do our thing, I'm sure we'll draw the kind of attention that most people don't want to draw, and maybe we'll get the right kind of attention shortly thereafter.
Well, I will trust upon your expertise in this matter at this point in time.
I wouldn't go that far. I don't know about that. If finding trouble is a skill, I excel at it, but doesn't really feel like a deliberate thing most of the time, you know? But I guess I will try and, scope out the nearest seedy-looking bar.
All right, you start looking around. There aren't bars, but you do see, various people out on, the street, playing dice games and stuff like that. There are some doors that are locked, and other ones, you check inside a building, and there's just, some dude, asleep sitting up against a wall. Just this, skinny water genasi dude with a hat over his face. Weird to just be that out in the open like that. Yeah, there's some a group of little kids run by, as little ruffians, and bump into you as you're walking past. What's your passive perception?
Oh no.
My passive perception is 11.
You just got robbed.
How much
watch
gold
as
do they
this,
take?
Yeah. How much gold do you have?
I have 50 gold.
You keep it all in one place?
Well, I probably don't have 50 gold on me.
Fair enough. You see this group of ruffians go by and kind of bump into you. One of them bumps into you, Oobtaglor, but there's just bumping into you is not the same as bumping into a person, and you can tell they're kind of off-put by what it means to run into a slime. You lose 5 gold pieces off of that encounter.
Jeez.
As you watch just this little mouse person run past, say, "Sorry, mister," and just disappear. By the time you turn around, they're fully gone.
Just Bileyg or also Oobtaglor?
Just Bileyg, yeah.
I see.
They try to get you Oobtaglor, and they're like, I don't know how to pickpocket this person.
Oh, that's all right. 5 gold can go real far in a place like this.
Hey.
Oh?
With lack of a better idea, I'm just gonna go up to the nearest group, which I imagine will be those kids playing dice or whatever. And
Yeah, they're just adults, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're the kids playing dice, Noir.
We're the kids playing dice. Go up to the
We
adults
are the
playing
kids
dice.
playing
And it's,
Wait, no, we're
how
the
much
adults.
to-
also.
Kids Playing Dice is the
How much
latest
to-
TTRPG system where you roleplay as a kid playing a
That's-
TTRPG.
Right. It's a reskin
Yeah.
of Kids on
Yeah,
Bikes.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, it's kids with dice. Yeah.
Gets it.
okay, Oobtaglor, please continue.
I'll give you 5 gold pieces if you tell us where the Grixit is.
Oh,
Jeez. Okay.
Make
Loudly,
a big persuasion
speedrun
check.
Loudly and in Oh, you know what? I'm doing this intentionally, but I have some tact. Can I just say to Oobtaglor, can I just say to Bileyg before I go, make sure the rose is visible though, or the flower that
ooh, smart.
that you were given,
just
and then I'm
arrange
gonna
it.
do my
Boutonniere.
idiotic thing.
My please come stab me for my money move.
All right. Go ahead and make me a persuasion check.
Sure.
Take that at advantage. I can help because I have proficiency.
Sure.
Okay. By displaying the flower, you're giving the help action. I'll allow it.
We're looking nice and fancy.
23.
I'll allow it.
Woohoo!
23. You watch as 3 of these guys immediately pick up stuff that was on the ground, put it in their pockets, and just go home. And one goblin who was sitting there picks up one of the dice that was on the ground, pockets it, and then holds out the other hand.
Yeah.
Just
I'll
waiting.
deposit 5 gold pieces.
All right. You take 5
Sucker,
gold
what a
pieces,
pittance.
and they They dart away.
After Culantro.
There's a second where you're like, fuck! And then they come back around the corner, and they're like, I figured you were stupid. I didn't know you were also slow. Gives a head jerk.
Whoa.
After him, Culantro.
You made a friend. Good job.
The game is afoot.
Oh.
All right.
Puffing along with my
You see,
25 feet of walk speed.
They start taking you through alleys and through buildings. You go through like underneath, almost like aqueduct things, running through, chasing them. They take you back through a building that's got like a lot of people like kind of bustling around in it. Like there's clearly some sort of like meal going on here, and they just run through. You get a lot of strange looks as you follow this guy through. It takes you through another alley, a right turn, past some like overgrown razor vine, and then you see there's like kind of like 3 houses kind of stacked on top of each other. Not one directly, but clearly like houses have been built out on top of each other, some older and some like newer than the rest to build onto this. And as he gets to the end of the alleyway, you see that there's like a wooden door that's propped open with a stick that's just goblin sized, and he dives through and kicks the stick out. The door slams shut behind him. What are you guys' passive perceptions? We have an 11, and what's the other one?
14.
Are we getting ambushed? Is it time for the ambush?
What did you say it was, Noir?
13.
13. All right, give me 1 sec.
High
Gotta turn to
and
the
low
goblins
wisp.
page.
You're about
Or in my
to
case,
not be
low
hitless
and low
real
wisp.
quick.
All right.
Hey, as long as it gets us to the Grigzit, I don't care.
Through.
All right. Rolling with a +5 to this, just have to be a 13. That's a natural 2. As
Oh boy.
So they're not going to be hidden, or and there's not going to be a surprise round. As the goblin disappears, very quickly you're like, oh, this was a setup. And you look to see one shadow on a roof as a bow is drawn back. I would like for the 2 of you to please roll me initiative.
Yeah, baby. Good news, because my dex is higher. I'm now rolling this at a tasty +0.
Hey.
You know what, Oobtaglor? I can't fault you for taking my advice. We did try to do this the honest and upfront way.
I wonder how Oobtaglor and Bileyg are getting along. I'm sure they've got it all handled. They're such a level-headed halfling, and such an difficult to rob ooze. Surely they've got this in the bag.
It has occurred to me that I do not know what the Grigzit looks like. We have
I'm pretty sure it's not one of these fellas, Oobsy, I gotta tell you.
You never know.
Most people don't know what she looks like.
I suppose anything's possible.
Bileyg coming in with a 13. Oobtaglor, what'd you roll?
Oh, yes. 4.
Oh, great.
Buddy. Oh, buddy.
4, okay. Noir's luck continues. Don't knock over your computer, Austin. Alright, let's go real quick. Who's up? The underboss rolls a 5, so that's not it's not hella awesome for him. The assassin
No.
Oh, boy.
rolls a 5.
Not
okay,
an
this might be
assassin.
easy for Tino. And the warrior rolls a little bit better than that. 14.
Okay.
Alright. They failed their stealth, so there is no surprise round, but, and there is no advantage on the first attack because they are not hidden, but the goblin warrior will act first in initiative.
Sorry,
Whichever
Austin,
one
can
has their
you
name.
give us our names on Roll20?
I am doing so right now.
Thank you.
No,
So you
Oobtaglor,
can
it does
see
occur
all
to
3
me.
of these guys are on roofs,
Oh, boy.
rooftops. The ones who are above you are 30 feet up, and this guy, the warrior over to the right, is 20 feet up. That is
Okay.
going to bring us to the warrior. He is going to make just a short bow attack, and he's going to shoot at... We'll see, which is the evens and odds. He's going to shoot at Bileyg.
Okay.
Cocked. That's a 17 to hit.
That misses.
Okay.
AC
How
18,
do you,
baby.
that's a pretty a pretty high hit. How do you deflect as you just catch the glimpse of shadow on the ground and look up to see this goblin aiming an arrow at you? What do you do to protect yourself against it?
I think it's almost just instinct. It's, oh, okay, projectile, interpose shield. Like, Bileyg is still on the, like, but where's the Grigsit, though? I mean, I thought we were getting led there, so, like, is she around this corner, maybe in this rain barrel?
Damn, I'm glad that goblin got out of the way
Anyway.
before the ambush.
Yeah, oof, this could have been real sticky, I tell ya.
Speaking of, it is
so
your
just-
turn.
Okay. Oobtaglor, full disclosure, I don't have a single ranged attack on me. And these guys are pretty high up, so... let's see,
Well,
what
I
can we
have
do?
a solution if you're willing to wait a little, wait like 3 seconds.
Oh,
You
you
could
know,
take the
I'm
dodge
sure.
action or hold an attack if you'd like.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna,
Oh, but you can't hold your movement. Yeah.
yeah.
You can
I
hold
mean,
a
I'm not
dash
moving
action
away.
to move.
Yeah.
But that does use your reaction, so I know that you have a reaction you might want to hold on to.
I have a useful reaction. I'm not gonna move away from Oobtaglor either. So instead, I'm gonna cast Shield of Faith on myself. So my AC will be 20 for the duration.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so bonus action, the Shield of Faith comes over you, and do you have any action you'd like to take?
I don't have too many useful actions, to be completely frank. You know what? Why not? I'll use Divine Sense. Detect good and evil for within 60 feet that's not behind total cover. Just in case the Grigsit is some kind of fiend or perhaps something else and is nearby watching.
You do not detect anything of the sort.
Right. Well, it's all good.
All right. That brings us to the Goblin Assassin. He is going to bonus action hide on the roof. So he's going to try to hide again. He's going to go 5, 10, 15. And he is going to attempt to hide on this roof. That is bad. Only an 11. Both you guys still see an 11, right?
If meets it beats it, then I still see an 11.
Meets it, beats it. Yeah. Okay, so he's not going to have advantage on this attack, but he will try it anyway. He will jump off the roof. So that was 15, 20, 25, 30. He's just going to jump down. And let's see, who's he going to attack? He's going to attack Oobtaglor because the warrior was already attacking Bileyg. So he's going
At
to
disadvantage.
roll at Oobtaglor. Okay, you're going to use your action to oppose disadvantage?
Yeah, I'm putting my shield in the way.
All right,
thank you,
fantastic.
Hey, what else am I
Here we
good
go.
for, eh?
That would have been a 19 to hit, but instead it's a natural 1.
Nice. That misses.
There we go.
How
That
do you
doesn't hit,
prevent
rather.
this a hit?
I just interpose my shield again. Bileyg is still looking around for the Griggs. She's like, I tell you, she's a slippery one. No wonder Evrard was so nervous.
Gonna take half damage on that fall and come into melee as you deflect the blow. That will bring us to the underboss.
The underboss.
The under. He'll use it anyway. He's going to use Get Reckless as a bonus action. You see, do you guys speak Goblin?
Nope.
No.
He is going to use his bonus action to give each ally within 30 feet advantage. Ooh. And then he is going to use Command and choose one ally he can see. If the target can hear him, the target can use a reaction to make one weapon attack. So the assassin is going to make a scimitar attack at advantage against Oobtaglor.
No,
Okay.
my slimy boy. Leave him alone.
You know what? No, he's going to do it against Bileyg because Bileyg has so far prevented 2 attacks, and they're like, oh, fuck that dude. So he's going to do at advantage.
Oh, turnabout's
and
not
if he
fair
hits,
play anymore?
He's going to do a scimitar attack. That is, oh shit, even at advantage, I don't think the scimitar's going to hit. 15, yeah, that's going to miss.
Oh, playing a tank is so weird.
Damn, alright, Oobtaglor, it is your turn.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. There is one more short bow attack coming at Oobtaglor from the underboss. I'll roll that really quick. It's not going to hit. Cool. Glad
Okay.
we mentioned it. All right, Oobtaglor, you're up. I love when I retcon and it didn't matter. Oh, wait, hold on. I have to do this. Oh, no, it didn't. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. 30 feet, you said, is the height of the buildings?
Yeah, that goblin is 30 feet above you. The warrior is 20 feet above you, but he's a little further away.
Gotcha. Alright, I'm going to cast Shatter at the underboss above us.
Shit, okay.
They have to make a Constitution saving throw.
Yep, okay, so that's not being hit with an attack, so that's not going to trigger his reaction. Con save, he rolls with +1. He does roll a natural 18, though.
Whoa.
Can I silvery barbs that?
Yeah, you absolutely can. Alright,
Roll
disadvantage,
my
and you're going to give advantage to yourself or Bileyg.
I'll give it to Bileyg.
Oh,
Okay.
that's very kind of you.
Natural 2.
Okay, cool. So, fails that. 3d8 thunder damage.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
That's devastating.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, a 3, a 6, and a 4. Okay. It's 13.
13. Oof. This guy is easily the tankiest, and that is a huge chunk of his health out. I'm also going to rule that the roof explodes there. He's going to make a
Cool.
dex save to see how much damage he takes as he falls to the ground. He's going to call the DC. Okay, yeah, he makes that, so he's going to take half of the fall damage. He's going to take 4 fall damage.
And I'll say as he lands in front of us, we're not really of the mind to kill you all, but if this is the way that it's going to go, we will kill you all. We're just looking for the Grixit people.
Make an intimidation check.
Don't think I have any free actions to help you.
That's a natural 15 plus 5, dirty 20.
Nice.
Okay, I'm going to roll normally I wouldn't, but you make a good point. I'm going to roll at advantage a will check for the underboss. And if he rolls with a +1, we're going to roll at advantage because he is kind of a leader. So if I roll, what did you say it was? Your total was a dirty 20?
Dirty 20.
20, yeah.
Okay, so he needs a 19 or 20 on this at advantage. That's a 6 and a 12. Okay.
Cool.
He is going to order you see he gets up, dusts himself off, and he shouts something to the other goblins. He is going to order the retreat, but all of them have crafty, which means they don't provoke opportunity attacks, so they are each going to get one more round as they flee. They don't need to disengage,
Okay.
in other words, in order to not die.
Ah.
Alright, so, bring us to the top of the initiative. The Goblin Warrior is going to take one more shot, this time at Oobtaglor. Short bow, here we go. Crit!
No!
Man.
I've already used my
first
reaction,
hit, and
haven't
it's
I?
a crit.
Because my
I
turn
already used my
hasn't come back
reaction.
around. No, my reaction to impose disadvantage, but
Yes, you have
because
used
my
your
turn
reaction,
hasn't
you have
come
to
back
remember.
around.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
You go next in the initiative. Alright, Goblin Warrior, here we go. Ready? Alright,
be that much
that's 4
Right.
plus 8 is 12 points of piercing damage.
Oh!
You see that the arrow sort of pierces into, like, and it kind of has the effect of, like, tearing a membrane, and, like, a bunch of, like, essentially my liquidy innards just kind of, like, spill out of my control, and I'm like, hey!
Hold it together, Oobtaglor.
You see he shoots, and then the Goblin Warboss, like, looks startled and points at him and yells, and he, like, sheepishly pulls the bow back and dips out of there. We'll remove him from the combat. That brings us to Bileyg. Bileyg, what would you like to do?
Does it look like the assassin is going to try and take one more swipe at us before they retreat? That was the vibe I got.
Absolutely, yep.
Okay. Then I'll take a little swipe at him too. Although, on the off chance that I do really well, I'm not trying to kill this guy. Just like flat
You
of
can
the blade
specify
kind of things.
non-lethal damage, so
Yeah.
go ahead and roll
Okay.
at advantage because of these silvery bobs.
Oh yeah.
Silvery
okay,
bobs.
here we
Oh,
go.
yeah! Yeah!
So that's a tasty little 22.
Yeah, that'll hit him.
I assumed.
That'll
Respectable.
fucking
Unless
hit.
he's secretly a little dragon. Okay, that's 1d8 plus 2 damage.
Secret little
And that
dragon.
is 6 damage. Because this guy's not worth the divine smite.
That doesn't kill him, but that does take him. That's like half of his health.
Just like a
Boom.
ringing smack on the side of the helmet.
Fantastic. He is.
I hope you
going
learn
to,
from this.
He is then going to take his turn. He is going to. He doesn't have advantage. He is going to take one more stab at you, Bileyg, and then dip out of there.
Okay.
Natural 2. He swipes, and you easily parry. And you don't speak Goblin, but you know shit when you hear it. And he just
Oi.
dips the fuck out of there.
Language.
Which brings us to the underboss. And the underboss is almost certainly not going to do anything crazy. These guys have such fun moves. But he is going to simply do one short bow at Bileyg and then get out of there. Crit on Bileyg, natural 20.
Oh my goodness.
That's brutal.
You both got critted on.
Here we
I
go.
will use the silvery barbs on
Okay.
that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Your turn has come back up again since you did last silvery barb. So re-roll.
Or-
Natural 1.
Oh,
Oof.
oh, so close.
Rough day.
What do you say to the silvery barbs that turns? You watch as Bileyg is distracted, getting rid of this assassin, leaves
Don't come back.
like an unarmored underarm open, and the goblin boss goes to shoot an arrow right in this vulnerable spot. What do you silvery barbs to prevent this from being a what would this be? Like 12 points of damage.
Did you not hear me when I said the word kill you all?
You
3 words, Oob.
say that, and then he, like Robin Hood distracted, shoots up, ping, it glances off a roof, and he is going to just dive into another hole and kick out the thing, hiding, successfully leaving the battle.
Nice neighborhood.
Hopefully that was entertaining for the Grixit.
Yeah, let me get a look at that real quick. And I'm gonna lay on hands. How much did you take? That was a lot, right?
12.
12. Yeah, I got plenty. Yeah, I'll lay on hands the full amount.
Oh. Why, thank you, Bileyg.
Hey, no worries. I figure nothing alive should have that much of him spilling out of it.
I'm just kind of stuffing everything back in me.
Slorp.
You see another shadow comes over you this time, and you see, as you look up to see what's cast in the shadow, you see just the silhouette of a humanoid figure crouching, almost cat-like, almost Spider-Man-like, on the edge of the roof. And as you turn up to look, you hear a woman's voice say, "You've got some stones coming to my kip? Who calls on the Grixit? And what reason do they give that they should survive?"
I'm gonna pull out Evrard's flower and hold it up.
Hello, I am Oobtaglor. This is my associate Bileyg Culantro, and we come by proxy of one Evrard Lapan.
We understand you have some history together?
And as for why we
She
should
leaps-
not... Oh, yeah.
Oh.
She leaps down from the rooftop, and as she lands in front of you, see it looks like a human woman, except she is incredibly pallid. She's wearing really old leather armor. She has, like, very gaunt features. She almost looks like she is, like... You're like, that could be a walking corpse, honestly. But she's not, like, rotting. She's not like a revenant, right? She's not like a zombie flesh. But you're like, there is a, like, Morticia Addams kind of, like... Oh, she's beautiful in the way that, like... They make up a cadaver to be like look at the best it could, you know.
I will say,
there's like
if
a
she-
morbid beauty here.
If she is undead and was within 60 feet of me, I would know.
I would say that she was hiding that whole time. That's why I didn't.
Okay.
But I don't want to be a stickler on it, and I think your intuition is right there. I'll allow like your divine sense. You're like, oh, this is a person that's dead, and there's Bileyg. You're from Mount Celestia. You've met petitioners before. Dead mortal souls who've gone off to the planes that they were most cosmically aligned with in life, that now their souls get to be eternal there, depending on where they are. But there are different rules depending on where you go. But immediately this is weird. Usually souls, there's a couple things souls can be. Sometimes they become what's the word I'm looking for? Like they become planar creatures, like angels, like archons.
Lantern archons.
Archons used to be people, and they ascend. They don't remember their previous lives, but they ascend through. Sometimes they just become devils are the same way. A lot of human souls become devils when they die. They start as lemurs. That's the Lantern Archon equivalent, the bottom of the fiendish barrel, as it were. Other places they kind of go on to be like still kind of look like themselves. Like sometimes they'll remember a little bit about their lives, but like only the part that's kind of like connected to what they are now. So in Acheron, a lot of the fighting armies are petitioners. So they are warriors who died in war, and they're there kind of as themselves, but just kind of like an echo of that person they were. So this is clearly more like that, but Sigil is not an afterlife. So immediately, you didn't know this. I don't think Evrard has explained it to you, but as you see this person, you're like, oh, this person is far from home. They're far from their afterlife. And if they're a petitioner, every second they spend away from their plane is a second they could die and cease to exist. This is a level of risk that is extremely unheard of.
Wow.
A lot of times, souls do not risk themselves like this. Souls tend to stay where they will live forever. So, usually in their plane, fiends can only be killed in their plane, which is why they're so eager to get out of their planes. But celestials and stuff like that, and petitioners like this, they can only be killed out of their plane. So it's very rare for them to leave. So immediately there's a sense of like this weird like, oh, this is like a woman who's like kind of, by existing here, is putting her life on the line. And she picks up the flower that you're holding, looks at it, and then crumples it and drops it. And Evrard, do you think that she knew you were? Does she know that you're like still around, or do you think that like it was kind of unclear and ambiguous? She wouldn't really know for sure what happened to you after the last job.
I'd say she would know, and this is him like letting her know that he's still around.
Aww.
She goes, and I was certain that he died. What does the world's unluckiest rabbit send two clueless into the Grigzit's den for?
Oh, well, you see, man, we're investigating a murder that occurred in the early hours of, what is it called in this plane again, Oobtaglor? I keep forgetting. Peak. In the pre-anti-peak hours. Very early at night. You understand what I'm saying. I'm sorry. As you've gauged correctly, I'm not from around here, ma'am. But in my defense, I don't seem to be the only one.
A long time ago I was. Things change.
That they do.
Still doesn't answer my question. What does that have to do with Evrard?
Evrard is helping us in our investigation, and I'm afraid that your symbol was found at the scene of the crime, but Evrard tells us it must have been drawn sometime after the murder, which makes us believe that perhaps somebody is attempting to cast doubt on you, perhaps cover up their own crimes. But I believe you may know more about this than we do, ma'am. We're sort of flying blind here.
Even so, you must have seen the Concord Terminus as a rather lucrative target.
She looks at Oobtaglor, and she says, found my symbol, my mark. Was it over where an old planar portal was?
More like where a new planar portal's gonna be? You must have seen the big mess of gears they've got going up there. They're trying to build some sort of train through the plains, plane train. I don't know, it's all very complicated. Bit over my head, most things are. But, it does, forgive me for assuming, I do know at least a little bit about your reputation. It does seem like the sort of place that, you might not be particularly fond of.
She kind of like gives like a curt, like, kind of like head twitch, in like vague agreement, and she says, Seems like the kind of place that it would hurt. Seems like the kind of thing that needs destroying. But, no. This wasn't me. I don't work on would be or will be. Not my kind of case.
Well, whoever is doing it in your name, and is doing a rather bad job of it, if they are doing it in your name. And Evrard just wanted us to come over here to, perhaps help land who might be doing this. Because I'm sure you wouldn't want your reputation besmirched by a rather poor attempt of sabotage, if I do say so myself. So just think of it. The Grixit doing petty removals of fittings and smashing of small gears of a portal that isn't even active yet. One might think that you're scared, perhaps even, of a thing that has yet to be. But as you say, you don't deal in such things. But the person who seems to be copycatting you doesn't... It seems to think otherwise.
She gets real close to you, and she says, "Scan this. I'm sure that you're operating under the assumption that your allyship with Evrard gives you some sort of safety here. That it gives you some sort of protection from me. It does not. In fact, it comes close to doing the opposite. So I would mind your tongue before you speak of matters you don't know. I don't fear anything. That's what leaves me here. That's what brings me here.
Does Oobtaglor have a tongue?
Are you as fearless? Are you curious what the other side of death looks like?"
I don't need to know such things. I'm not as curious as you might be.
Yes, well, ma'am, I understand, and we certainly don't want to take up too much more of your time, but the fact remains, you have been framed, and the Planar Trade Commission is going to believe that you are the most likely suspect, because, correct me if I'm wrong, I rather suspect that you have caused problems for them in the past. Not the cold read, but...
She kind of laughs when you say that. She says, "Yeah, it would be them. Let them come after me. No one's called me yet, and whoever this imposter is, you're going to be able to look up their name in the dead book before too long."
Would that be because you have an inkling of how to hunt them down, or because some other misfortune may befall them?
Make a persuasion check.
Yes. Good.
Can I help?
Please.
Yes, what do you say or do to help Oobtaglor? I'll let you know if it's actually helpful.
I'll basically kind of affirm the Grixit's statement. It's like, no, of course you don't fear anything. That's exactly the point that I'm trying to make. Your copycat is making a poor example of it.
I've only rolled a 16.
I'm basically saying that the copycat is being a poor, like a shitty copycat, and it's like you would not want your work associated
You're trying to
with
play
kind
up
of
to
this
her
kind of
ego.
stuff.
Yeah.
All right, what did you roll?
Only a
Red?
16.
16?
My persuasion's +5, but I only rolled an 11 on the highest die.
She kind of considers for a second. She says, What makes you think that I can't handle it myself? What makes you think that I want to besmirch my name even further, beyond having it smeared by this copycat, by having the person brought to justice, not by myself, but by a couple of clueless wandering in, asking questions in the sandstone strip, not knowing that it's going to get them into an ambush?
Oh, well, that's certainly a good point, ma'am. And I wouldn't want to insult your capacity, of course. Although I do question whether you would be bringing this person to justice or simply enacting a certain form of vengeance. You know, where I'm from, those are two very different things.
Then you're not from Sigil.
Certainly not, ma'am. Guilty as charged.
Well, how about this? The fact remains that there are only 4 people in all of Sigil that knows any sort of link between the current state of the Concord Terminus and you, and that is me and my associates, among whom Evrard stands. But if you were to go after this person, you would be inextricably linking yourself to this copycat. Reactionary as it might be, it seems to be bringing unwanted attention and unwanted associations with you. If you let us handle it, then we'll make sure that your name never even comes up at all. No
You know
need
that-
for besmirchment.
That's a good point, I must say. I don't tend to think so much in the ways of stealth, but you seem to be quite the expert, and I could imagine that being front and center in quite a complicated case such as this, putting you right in the crosshairs of the plane of transit, whatever their name is, I could see that being something of a difficulty. I'm sure you could handle it, of course. I'm sure you have been handling it, but, we could certainly save you a little bit of trouble if you knew a direction to point us in.
Noir, go ahead. And you actually made a very good argument there. I'd like you to please make a persuasion check at advantage.
Hell yeah,
Cool.
dude. Hell yeah, dude.
Let's go.
That's Oobtaglor, making good arguments by the seat of their pants.
Does Oobtaglor wear pants?
No. They
We've
wear
got good
armor,
cop,
but
slime
they
cop.
take it, they go in and out of it at times.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Well, that is a 23.
23.
Why am I even
She
here,
kind
man?
of considers for a second, and you can see that there's a calculus going on behind her eyes. She goes, if Evrard's involved, I can't guarantee that no one's gonna die. But Cutter knows what he's doing. If you can take care of this, my name gets forgotten from the conversation. That's worth me giving you a lead and letting you go alive.
Ooh, well, that's very kind of you, ma'am.
Don't even know who you are.
I certainly couldn't spell it.
I have lots of enemies, but only one who does the same kind of work and doesn't agree with me. The Hands of Havoc. They're the only bastards crazy enough to make an enemy out of me. They invited me in a little while ago. I said no. They didn't like it. This must be their way of doing their work and hopefully getting a competitor out of the way. And by there, I mean, it's probably just one agent acting on their own. That's their way. They don't have organization. Whispers between vaguely allied individuals. Whoever this is, they've taken it on themselves to do the work and defray me for it.
Do we know anything about the Hands of Havoc?
Yeah.
You could roll, each of you could roll history checks if you'd like.
Sure.
Stranger things have happened.
Oh, cool. Dirty 20.
Ooh.
Flat 6.
Okay, Dirty 20. You remember because you've talked to Ingrid about it. The hands...
I'm gonna do a little laugh every time
Hands
someone
of-
says my name now. I think that's a new bit.
The Hands of Havoc used to be one of the factions before the faction world called the Anarchists. And now they are... It's written down somewhere. Now they are a loose group of, like, saboteurs, and they don't really stand for anything beyond they think status quo is bad. They were, at their height, a poorly defined, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, their ethical outlook didn't make a lot of sense, wasn't very coherent to begin with, and ever since they got shattered, and now they're even more on their own, like, it's really just evolved into a bunch of people who, like, all think they're V for Vendetta, all think they're a hero in their own story, doing things. And so, this totally does smack of some crap that they would pull.
I kind of
that-
muttered to Bileyg, so perhaps it's all just a matter of cross-referencing those who we know to be in the Hands of Havoc to those who know to be in the Stone and Cog, maybe.
Ooh, that's a good point. Well,
There's no master list, but you'll know them. They embed themselves in organizations in order to weaken them, but they never stay anywhere too long.
so it would be a new employee. Somebody who hasn't been there very long. All right. Well, that's been very
Probably.
helpful, ma'am. Thank you very much for your time. We won't trouble you much longer. Hopefully we won't get mugged on the way out.
We will turn around, and then we'll turn back, and you won't be there. And I turn around.
You hear, as you turn around, she says, I like you, Burks. I hope you catch whoever you're going after before you get killed.
Little salute. Also turn around.
She is indeed gone, but you hear an echo from somewhere deep inside a house as you start to walk away. She says, Oh, and tell your friend. He's gonna have to pay the music one day. In blood. Sooner or later, the lucky rabbit is gonna run out.
Pay the music? I gotta brush up on my Sigil slang. I tell you, half the time it feels like a whole other language.
It seems as though the Grixit is under the impression that Evrard is going to get what's coming to him.
Oh.
Assuming there is something of his to get.
I don't know. She seemed like a perfectly nice lady to me. A little bit mixed up, maybe. All right. Hopefully the others haven't been attacked. I sure hope
I'm just thinking of the scene from Avengers where it's like, he is of Asgard and he is my brother. And they're like, he's killed 30 people in 2 days.
He's adopted.
Yeah, it's like, she seems like a good person. Yeah, she's killed a lot of people. Kind of like like a terrorist, you know.
Hey, yeah, you know.
All right, let's cut back then as you guys leave with your lives back to the Stone and Cog, going through papers. Is there anything specific you guys are looking for?
Because each person kind of has like sort of their own department, not super well defined, but like a little bit of it. I think specifically like, are the mishaps, sabotages, whatever, or are there like more accidents than usual or more like delays than usual in a particular department that might like point us in the direction of a person to talk to next? Or have we noticed any one particular person signing off on a lot of these accidents, that kind of thing? Like anything to like indicate who out of these 6 we should maybe turn our attention to. Yeah.
Fantastic. That's definitely an investigation. Are you both doing this, or Evrard, are you looking to do something else in the meantime?
Evrard is definitely helping. He's just looking for
Okay, so investigation checks from the Paria.
Okay.
That's a 21
Or
for Ingrid.
someone who's proficient can give, you know how advantage works now. If one of you wants to grant
I
advantage.
don't
but
have proficiency in it.
I was going to say, I don't think Evrard can grant advantage, so it's probably better off.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sophia, what did you say? You got like a 7,000?
21?
Yeah,
Close
there we
enough.
go. What'd you, Wally, any numbers?
Yeah, he got a 12, which isn't bad.
Very good.
12? 12, you start looking through. I mean, you're no slouch at this. Like, you've been around in this for a while, so you know what to look for. All of this makes sense to you, Evrard, but it doesn't paint a picture. You know, it doesn't spin a web this way to you the way it does to Ingrid. Ingrid, as you start looking through the listed delays and the expenses listed, connected to each one, curious about, like, what, if there's any connection. You already asked the question. What has been going wrong and could it be linked to a person? And at first it seems kind of random, but as you're going through, it starts to become clear to you that the setbacks that were the most severe, the ones that were like the least silly, the most specific, and must have been undertaken with some level of like direction, right? Not just hiding tools, but specific sabotage, were undertaken in the gear works, were undertaken with the specific clockwork portion of this project.
And remind me who was in charge of overseeing that. Was it Aura or?
Aura was.
It was not
Steam,
Aura.
right?
It was Rafferty and Cloyd.
Okay.
Evrard, look here. It seems that it's our gearheads that we need to speak to next. We didn't run into them in the job site, did we?
No, man.
You spoke to Rafferty. He was the first guy you spoke to.
Wait, yeah. Not Cloyd though.
Not Cloyd. Interesting. Well, I suppose that's who we should talk to next. Excuse me, I assume there's like an attendant in here with us.
The dwarf is still hanging out here.
Do you know where we might find Cloyd at this time of day?
Should be on site.
Excellent.
I mean, you definitely counted Cloyd there. He was a gnome.
Okay.
You definitely counted him there. You should speak to him. So he's not like conspicuously missing or anything.
Cool.
You see the dwarf Jed asks, like, is there anything else I could be helping you with, or do you need to see your way out, or I've been told to help you in whatever way I can.
Where exactly, remind me, Austin, they were delivering, where were they getting the gears from? Like, because you said the train was being built in Mechanus, right?
The train is in Mechanus, and this is the first station that's being built in Sigil. Most of the gear is coming from Mechanus, it's specifically, and yeah.
Okay. I mean, we wouldn't know that information. Never mind. Okay. Looks like a lot of our leads right now just go right back to the job site.
It does indeed.
I'd
Like to link up with our rest of our crew. Hopefully they've finished talking with your associate by now. Perhaps we could all reconvene at the job site.
D'accord, madame. I'm getting tired of looking through all this paperwork, but seems like we found what we need.
Yes, we certainly have narrowed the suspect list, as it were.
Then I think we can all reconvene back at the job site, unless there's anything else anyone would like to accomplish in the meantime.
Just bring the other two up to speed when we get there, like, so this is what we discovered. Met a charming man named Skid, and found out many, many things from papers and whatnot. How about you guys?
Who was one of the more recent acquisitions in the Stone of Cog that are working on the project now? Would your records have found that out?
Yeah, with the in the records.
That's definitely the kind of thing you might have seen. You weren't specifically looking for it. So recalling, I'm going to ask, you can make an investigation check retroactively, but I'm going to say with disadvantage.
Okay.
To see if it's something you remembered without, stumbled upon when you weren't specifically looking for it.
When we were doing the level up, one of the feats that I was looking at was Keen Mind, and that would have made this so easy.
I was also thinking about that, but I do not have the intelligence for it.
It's not exactly how the class ability is supposed to be used, but Eye for Detail, you can use the bonus action to make a perception check to spot a hidden creature or object, or make an investigation check to uncover or decipher clues. Extending that to, like, making... I don't know that's a stretch.
I see where you're going. I like the idea that, like, you could have found it, like... If we're imagining bonus action to be like, you used your action for investigating, but you also used your bonus action to look something up, that, like, you might have snuck a detail in. I want to say yes. I'm trying to think if there's a resource or something you could expend. You have inspiration, right?
I do have DM's inspiration currently.
All right, go ahead and spend the DM's inspiration, and I'll say, go ahead and roll straight on this check.
That's a 19.
Woo.
There we go.
Total of 19?
Yeah. Oh, I rolled 11 plus 8, so 19 total.
Or 11 plus 8, total of 19. Okay, fantastic. You think back, and it stands out to you, you're thinking, like, 2 people there have been hired within the last year. One of them is Maynard, who's the person who's working on the masonry. The other is Rafferty.
Cloyd is innocent.
It's always the first person you encounter in these stories.
I always want to go back to the scene of the crime.
Which one is Rafferty again? I was very busy.
He was the one who was standing nearby as you guys were, like, he was the closest person to the scene of the crime when you guys were investigating that you talked to first. He's the one who told you that how they were all drinking last night.
We don't want to necessarily let Rafferty know that we're on to them, that they're even high on our suspect list. So let's approach this one with a bit of tact. Just some follow-up questions about how the job's been going. See if we can't coax them into revealing any sort of incriminating details.
Or
If there's any...
perhaps merely a charm? A bit of magic, get some a level of honesty out of our friend. This case has been quite stressful, and it's time we get some answers.
An area of honesty, of vicinity, of veritaserum.
Only if Noir gets
Zone
to
of
call
truth?
it the vicinity of Veracitarum every time he has to say this thing.
Well, you can't call it that, certainly, as we just learned.
I'm down to doing a zone of truth.
If you can do it subtly, assuming that they fail, they'll only be able to speak the truth. However, they will know that there's a spell being cast if we're not careful, so perhaps Oobtaglor and Evrard could be skulking about in the middle distance, sort of keeping themselves out of the way long enough for the spell to go off and us to get our little advantage.
Monsieur Uber, how much time do you need?
6 seconds approximately. Less than that.
I will make sure he fails. I'll make sure the spell is effective.
It does say, and I guess we would know this, an affected creature is aware of the spell. So it's not like, I don't know if we can like subtly cast it and...
No, I can give him disadvantage on
He's gonna
the
fail,
save.
but he's still gonna know he's under the effects of the spell. So
Right, so like subtly casting it might
Right.
not
Then
be worth
I guess
he
anything.
can just not answer.
perhaps we could simply lie to him about its purpose.
Well, if he doesn't answer, that might be...
I mean,
know.
that's pretty sus anyway,
might
but
tell.
like, yeah.
I'll remind you that you guys aren't, like, you guys are heroes, and I understand, like, why you want to do things a certain way, but you also don't need beyond reasonable doubt, you know? Like, you're not lawyers in a court of law.
How about this?
So, but that's up to you how much you want to pursue that.
We go for the zone of truth, and we introduce it with, very boilerplate, a thing we do to everyone we're talking to from this point forward. We've had issues in the past. We don't read into it too much and just try and put him at ease as much as possible so that he does not think twice about the spell and simply answers our questions.
But if he is the guy we're looking for, I kind of doubt he's going to be on, he's not exactly going to have his guard down if we're starting to privately investigate him, as it were.
Well, we'll have to be either very persuasive or very quickly we'll get the answers we're looking for as to his guilt.
It's true. All right. Well, I don't really see a better plan.
I mean, how confident are we that this is the perpetrator?
Well, the Grixit informed us that the most likely perpetrators of this particular crime would work for the Hands of Havoc, and their MO is to embed themselves into other groups and destroy them from the inside out. And so, your charming contact, which, by the way,
Lovely
she did
lady,
give you a
gotta say.
warning to look out for something about facing the music one day in blood.
Yes.
No idea what that means.
It was a bit of a
But-
mixed metaphor, to be completely honest, but I think I got the general gist.
But she essentially told us to be on the lookout for any new members of whichever organization we were looking into, and hence the question that we had asked. So it does seem that Rafferty is our main suspect, simply on the grounds that he is one of the newest members. And
he works in the gears, the area that's been most sabotaged.
Yes.
Perhaps if we feel we need a little bit more confirmation, we could ask the co-workers, or Karen, those sorts of people, who all supposedly went out drinking the other night, and see if they corroborate Rafferty's story, or if they noticed, that Rafferty also slipped out around when our unfortunate victim did. Rather than going
point.
direct to the source, who we feel pretty confidently at this point is probably the one who did it, but also not likely to admit that per se.
Well, you never know with these folks. Sometimes they just really want to change the monologue.
I'm fine with either method.
We can certainly be a little more cagey about it,
Well, why
Ask
don't
around a
we
little first.
start with talking to perhaps Aura again, find out about who went drinking, and if that continues to support the evidence that we have amassed, then we can go direct to the source.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a fine plan.
Alright.
A fine plan indeed.
Huh? Who?
Excuse me.
Oh, I jokingly said a fine plan indeed.
Oh,
It sounded like
I
you
thought
were
we were
doing a
getting
character
eavesdropped on.
voice, and I was like, what do you mean?
Oh.
hello, Herlock
No.
Sholmes, a professional
You turn,
investigator.
yeah, you turn around, there's my new DMPC standing right there. He just tells you the answer, and you guys get paid. Isn't that guy the coolest, right? You guys love him, right? He's so good at this.
The teammate we've always had this whole time.
All right.
All right.
All right, so
let's
what
go
are you doing? Because I've lost
I'd like to go.
control
I
of
think we're
that
gonna go
scenario.
talk to Aura or any of the other folks who were supposedly out drinking with Rafferty and Co. the other night to talk to them about the night before.
You can go, you can go find Aura if you'd like. She is in a different part of the building, but still basically doing the same job at this point. At this point, the
do we
body has
see-
been taken away. The are they called the dead bookers? I got a word for them. There's a service that, because otherwise the bodies would pile up in Sigil. So there is the corpse collectors, more commonly known as the dead bookers, come and collect the dead. So at this point, the body's being collected by the bookers.
Hello, Aura, is it? I don't know that we had the pleasure of meeting earlier, but you talked to one of my associates. I was hoping we could ask you a few more questions in the course of our investigation, if that would be all right.
She puts down a wrench. Yeah, suppose so. Don't know why it wouldn't be.
Now, we understand that a few folks went out drinking last night, Koa included. Is this true? And were you among them?
Yeah, all of us did. Everyone from the job. Go out most nights, I'd say.
And
Long hours, need long wind down.
did Koa stay the entire time, or did they slip out early?
Koa? Koa left like a little bit before anti-peak. First one to go.
And if I may ask, who was the second?
I'd say a couple hours later, we all kind of stumbled out together. Could be someone left a little bit before, but yeah, I don't really remember anyone. Like no one left as early as Koa, if that's what you mean. No one followed Koa out.
Could I insight check this?
Yeah, go ahead, roll an insight check.
It's not that I don't believe them, it's just that I don't believe them. It's not amazing. That says 16 total.
A 16? Yeah, you don't think she's being deceptive. She genuinely doesn't remember, but you're like, she was also definitely lots of
Definitely
drinks deep.
drunk.
That's why she's like,
Yeah.
I don't remember. I think we all just kind of left together. No one. Certainly, you trust the part where she's like, no, Koa left first. That was
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah,
true,
I think that's
by
been
a
established.
good amount. But I don't remember who exactly the order of operations after that.
Did Koa leave early for any particular reason, did he say? Or was it just any altercations at the bar or to-do lists to attend to?
No. He was a worrier. He was worried he left it unlocked. I swear, every time we lived, every time we left for the day, he would always go back in and check at least once. I guess he forgot to double check.
Did everyone go out for drinks? Did someone not go this time around?
No, everyone was there. All six.
I don't remember if anybody, all six.
I guess we should probably start asking everybody else.
Yes. Just so we know who to talk to about the other night, who all was out with you?
Koa, Maynard Fane, Cloyd, and Rafferty.
Yep.
Very well. Thank you for your time. I believe we're off to talk to the others.
All right. So that we don't have to roleplay each individual conversation, I will say that broadly their stories all line up. With all six of them were there. They can give you the name of the pub too. The name of the pub was Masty's Tavern. It's really close to here. It's 2 blocks away.
Getting nasty at Masty's.
And they were all there, and Koa left first. They just assumed that after he checked on stuff that he must have gone home, and then the rest of them all left in the wee hours of the morning.
Are they all pretty unanimous in that everyone left all at once at the end.
Yeah, you hear a few of them say, like, oh yeah, I think, like, you know, like, oh yeah, I think Fane closed out first. But they all, like, went their separate ways within 10 minutes of each other. They kind of closed down the bar, essentially. So, as much as you can in Sigil.
It occurs to me the only other name that's popped up in our investigation that we haven't looked at is this Dev. Perhaps it's worth chatting with them. If only because we seem to be hitting our head against a wall with the main six, and while it's certainly possible that Rafferty left the bar and then did a murder, the timeline is a little bit wibbly.
Well, not to mitigate. Have we actually talked to Rafferty yet? Was he one of the ones
We
interviewed?
have.
He was the first guy you talked to, yeah.
No, I mean in this current spate of like.
I assume you guys have to, like, keep up appearances. Also ask him, like, hey, you said, like,
Right,
everyone was there at the same time, and you have double-checked his story lines
Right.
up with everyone else's.
Okay.
If you want to ask him more questions, then that's something we would roleplay.
Yeah.
I mean, we could try the more direct route with the Zone of Truth.
Yeah, I think we do the direct route. I think that's useful. Because I don't feel like opening up a new path of inquiry when we haven't completely closed out the ones that we already have.
Yeah.
Very well.
Okay. I'll be straight up. I will say, for the sake of thorough inquiry, I'm going to cast a Zone of Truth. If you are aware and allow yourself to willingly fail it, this will allow the questioning to go by a lot more smoothly.
Okay, so you're speaking now directly to Rafferty?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. He kind of, like, gets nervous. Kind of like anyone who you're like, I'm going to put you in a lie detector. Is that chill? He kind of gets nervous, and he's like, do you want everyone else here for this?
We'll collect them in due time, but we figured we would start with you simply because you're right here in front of us.
Make a deception check, because I assume you... that is a lie, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely a lie. You're doing that not because you think he's the one, not because you're planning on doing everyone.
Yeah.
All right, so make a deception check.
I'm gonna use my second luck. I just want to try. That was a 7. That was worse. Okay. Use my second luck. I will use the DM inspiration though.
Nice.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
And a 1. Okay. So
the universe does not want this to go smoothly.
Well, I have a pretty decent deception. So 7 plus 6 plus 1, so 14.
Okay, 14. Yes, he did roll a natural 3. So
Okay.
on his insight.
Okay.
So he buys it. And he goes, all right, yeah. Ask away.
You went out drinking last night with the whole gang, correct?
I believe he has to roll a saving throw, right?
Oh, he's not
Yeah,
intentionally
but I did ask
failing?
if
That's
you can
so
choose
weird.
to save it.
Yeah, he's gonna still try to resist because he's not super. He doesn't like know you guys are gonna know if he fails it. He's gonna instinctively
Cool.
try to resist it.
When Evrard sees that he's going to attempt to actually like fight against the spell's effects, he's going to walk up to Rafferty and politely like brush off his shoulders, look him dead in the eye, and he says, "Monsieur, a colleague of yours is dead, and we merely wish to show you what it means to dishonor the dead. Look me in the eye, and I need you to be honest with me. And I will use my unsettling presence to give him disadvantage of the next saving throw he makes within the next minute."
Okay.
Okay.
Noir, you were saying something before about the spell?
The language of the spell does say you know whether each creature succeeds or fails on its saving throw. So.
Yeah, so you'll know whether. Yeah, but he doesn't
Alright.
know that you like. He's not a spellcaster.
Okay.
He's just like, oh, I'll just try to get out of this and lie, maybe.
Yeah.
You know,
All right.
like he's gonna, but he'll roll with disadvantage.
It's a charisma saving throw.
And it is only going to be a 10.
That fails.
Okay. He is magically compelled to tell the truth.
Now, you went out drinking last night, correct? With the other 6?
Yeah, everyone went.
And you stayed the entire time?
Whole night. Stayed with everyone till the end when they were starting to put chairs on tables, and then I went home.
You went directly home?
I went directly home.
How long have you been associated with the Hands of Havoc?
Oh.
3 years.
Oh!
There we go.
How did you know that?
Just a hunch.
We
You
are
kind of had that
asking questions.
je ne sais quoi
please.
about you.
Did
I guess-
you kill Koa?
No, I didn't kill Koa.
Did you...
I swear. You don't need me to say that, though. I didn't. He was a friend of mine. I didn't kill him.
Did you
draw the symbol of the Griggs at the scene of the crime? Yeah, hey, great minds, eh?
Yeah.
I get there eventually.
Yes. Yes. I drew the symbol of the Griggs there so that people would think it was her. Might as well have been her. She does the same
Have
work
you-
that we do.
Have you been sabotaging the construction of this station?
I've been having it sabotaged. Yes.
Who have you had doing this sabotage?
You see his eyes travel over to a group of Modrons that are walking by, working.
I've always
Goes-
hated those little bitches. Since last goddamn
goes-
campaign.
He goes, listen. He says, listen. I didn't want anyone to die here. That wasn't what I was trying to do. Try to set things back, maybe even permanently sabotage it if I got lucky. Make a little extra coin in the process. Keep some rich fucks from getting even richer. So, at night, I give the Modrons some new instructions. Let them do their thing while the building's locked up and they're all everyone just assumes that they're stationary waiting for their next command. I've been having them sabotage, take things apart, but I didn't tell them to kill anyone, alright?
There's Modrons. The way that they work, what kind of tools do they use? How do they do this sabotage? Is it blunt or are they very precise?
Well, I used to give them really specific instructions, but they could really only do one little thing at a time. If I told them to unscrew something when I came in the next morning, only one thing would be unscrewed. They're very direct. They can only follow one, or to make some monodrones. They can only
And
contain one command.
what did you command them to do yesterday, before you left?
I told them to sabotage the progress of the Planar Trade Consortium in secret. It's the best
So
way I
if I
could
were-
figure out to have them do the work while not being conspicuous about it and not needing me to babysit every single thing over their shoulder while they were doing it.
You said that you planted the sign of the Grixid. Was that you, or did you tell a Modron to do it?
I did that.
So presumably you also found the hammer that was found beside it.
Yeah, I did.
So the hammer was there in the morning, and you decided to hide it and leave the sign of the Grixid in order to lead us down a false trail.
Well, did you hide the hammer, or was the hammer already hidden when you noticed it?
The Modron already stashed the hammer away. I assume that was part of the
Yep.
in secret part.
Yes, and so it interpreted in secret to mean without anyone
the
watching,
evidence.
and so when presented with when presented with a witness, it went for a rather direct approach to keep things in secret.
I mean, it's the only thing I could think of. But who's ever heard of a Modron killing a person before?
That is the
They're
question,
not
isn't it?
autonomous. They're stupid.
And the sabotage last night was somewhat different than previous nights, far less subtle, much more direct. And my question, sorry, DM, how big are Modrons and can they fly? I genuinely can't remember.
They can fly. They are small. They're like Mike Wazowski sized.
Right.
Like, they're
but
probably
they can
about
fly.
as tall as you are, but they have little wings. Yeah, they can fly.
So the height issue isn't the problem, but I do question one of their abilities to kill a Goliath in one hit.
I mean, remember, most people have 3 hit points.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
I know.
Even a Goliath.
Even a Goliath is going to
Even
be...
a
Yeah.
Goliath, like, you know, is a
It could have been the
commoner
Modrons.
Just,
has 3 hit points.
you said you figured the hammer was the Modrons. Did you recognize it as a tool that they use? I know that craftsmen can often be very particular about their tools. Or, you know, what led you to this identification?
They use whatever's around. Look, what are you guys gonna do now? Because I didn't mean for everyone to get killed, and if you turn me over to the PTC, they're gonna have... they're gonna put me up on a leafless tree, you know what I mean? If they can get their way.
That, mon ami, not my problem. We were assigned to uncover what happened here, and now we know what happened here. Case closed.
Do you feel even a little bit? I have to assume that you feel some amount of remorse for the actions that you have done.
Of course I feel bad. He was a good guy. He was a nice guy. He was a friend of mine. We were all going to get extra work out of the sabotage here. I mean, you know, I don't think he has the guts to do what this city needs, but, you know, he didn't deserve to get killed for it. There's plenty of other people that deserve that way more. Of course I feel bad. I just don't see how me going down for a crime I didn't mean to commit, that I didn't even commit, that some stupid construct committed, was going to help anyone. It's not like he had family members who were looking for justice or anything.
Yeah, well, justice isn't... It's not a matter of only coming when it's demanded. It's important to uphold it even in the dark.
It's all well and good to defend yourself. However, this act, whether done by the construct you gave instructions to or your own hand, is nigh indistinguishable from you wielding the wrench yourself.
He kind of like gives a nervous look. He's clearly starting to get really nervous about what's about to happen to him.
We're not here to rough you up. We were here to solve the
And
crime.
for the record, the Plane of Trade Commission just wants, well, you know what they care about. More of a money situation than a vengeance thing.
Yeah, well, I don't have the kind of money that they're gonna want. They're gonna want back what they've lost in revenue and tenfold. They've got the best lawyers in the whole wheel. They're gonna I'm gonna be strapped for forever. I mean, you gotta give a guy a break here.
Surely you understood that this was a risk when you started sabotaging one of their projects.
Didn't think it would lead back to me, if I'm being honest. Oh, he didn't mean to say that.
Yeah, well, I understand that you're used to a certain way that Sigil works, but scales gotta balance eventually.
I'd suggest, in the interest of not having them add to your tab the cost of us bringing some Sons of Mercy over here to escort you, you come quietly with us to discuss with the trade.
Roll an intimidation check at advantage on that one.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, no. The Mercy Killers are the brutal ones.
The Sons of Mercy
Sod
are the
Killers
ones who are at
brutal
this job
ones.
site, which is why I said them. But
Yeah,
the Sod
yeah.
Killers are much more.
Yeah,
They're not
that
as
is-
intimidating, but
They're not as intimidating. I'd say roll a regular intimidation check if you're just talking about the Sons of Mercy.
I don't get cool
I could give
points.
you the help action so
I
you
don't
do
get
it at
cool
advantage.
points. So do you?
I like it. It's a good move. That's why I'm saying go ahead and roll for it, not
Thanks.
just like it doesn't work or anything. But
Yeah, I'll roll for it. That's the game. That's the game. Oh, that's a 19 plus 2 to bring it to a 21.
Woo!
The scariest frail old woman you've ever seen in your entire goddamn life.
400 years too old to give a fuck.
When you cross 450, things just seem so much less important.
I ran out of fucks to give after my first century, darling.
You see, he goes, he looks to you guys, and he says, oh, we don't need to get anyone with swords involved with this. Listen, I know plenty of other people in the Hands of Havoc. Surely there's a garnish we could work out here that's gonna, maybe you guys would collect some bounty hunter work, turn some people in,
boy.
and get a good reward yourself. More than compensate for the money that'll be lost on this job, I'm sure.
Darling,
But you
if that's
gotta
all you're
learn to
after.
select your audience.
yes, this is a kind
you
of
were really
conversation.
tugging at the heartstrings when you were playing the innocent victim of society.
Yes, I
this
think
is not
that
the
perhaps
move, my
you
friend.
should try this gambit again with the commission, because they seem like the kind who might actually be interested in that sort of an investment. We're here to do our job, and the completion of that job involves escorting you to the commission. So if you'd be so kind as to come with us.
With your intimidation check, he is going to yield, and he will accept whatever it is that you are looking to do to him now.
Well, our contract
With him
said
now.
to...
We
To
gotta
him
rip up
sounds-
that business card, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
All right. When you rip up the business card and wait, it is only a short time later that a familiar dragonborn arrives, accompanied with some more of the Sons of Mercy.
Hello,
I am
Lazaro,
taking-
darling.
Go on.
The Zone
Mm-hmm.
of Truth, I assume, is still up, if necessary.
Zone of Truth, I think, only lasts
10
like a
minutes.
minute
10
or something like
minutes.
that, right?
10 minutes?
Yeah, even so. But I mean, you guys have got. He's not gonna be like, well, I didn't say that. What are you talking about?
No.
Yeah.
These guys are crazy.
That could be anybody.
You see that he, Lazaro, approaches. So this is the culprit then?
Yes, in a manner of speaking. The exact individual who wielded the hammer seems to be one of your Modrons, but the programmer of said constructs is none other than our dear Rafferty here.
Oh, curious. I am not sure I've heard of a Modron committing such an act before, but if it was being wielded as a weapon by this individual, then we will see that justice and recompense are done. He motions, and the guards come and bind him, manacles behind the back. We'll take him to there's a name for the courts in Sigil, the High Courts. He says we'll take him to the High Courts and see that he is brought up on charges for his many egregious actions. He will pay off his debt to society and to the consortium.
Sounds humane.
Indeed, we
Wonderful.
are not barbarians. This is not the Beast Lands.
Well, I believe that concludes our contract with you, pending payment.
Yes. The exact language of the contract. For recovering the culprit. For recovering the culprit, you receive 1,200 gold pieces, each stamped with the PTC on one side and crown on the other. So the Lady of Coins minted in Sigil will often have the Lady of Pain's crown, like the swords,
The knife
on
crowns.
one side, which makes them called crowns. That's not all gold. You guys have tons of gold from tons of different worlds constantly. No one really
Yeah.
gives a shit, like getting a Canadian penny from a gas station. It's all well and good. But these ones are minted in Sigil, and they're minted by this group.
So that's 300 gold each?
Yeah.
Unless
cool.
Sophia wants to keep it all for herself. She gets the money, so it's kind of up to her.
I will distribute them. Ingrid has made her millions. I have a star's fortune. We all get our fair cut.
Thank you.
It's all tied up in real estate, you know, it's very difficult for, like, day to day to get it liquid.
I wouldn't know anything about
Right,
that,
well,
ma'am.
You guys come into possession of quite a bit of gold, so on a note for next week, there might be something for you to consider. But
Okay.
in the meantime, you are thanked, and it is made clear in no uncertain terms that Lazaro, I appreciate your expediency in this, and we look forward to using your services in the future if we require them.
Our pleasure. I hope you've enjoyed your time with open and shut investigations, and again, should unfortunate incidents like this occur, we are always available at our office, as I know you know its locale. Here's our business card.
Indeed. He takes the second one and he like goes to pocket it and then walks away, and you see he just kind of like tosses it on the street as he's walking away. But
That's not
he did make
uncommon.
it clear that he it was clear, this is a condescending individual, but it's clear that he did appreciate your services. As we wrap this investigation, is there anything else you guys would like to attend to?
Yes. Evrard will, the second the job has been officially completed, he will turn to the group and he says, I may be gone for the next day or two. I have personal business to attend to. Au revoir.
May I ask if this
Oh.
personal business involves a certain figure we encountered in this particular investigation?
Oui. It's my own business, madam.
Very well. I just bid you be safe.
You know how to get to the apartment if I'm asleep, right? The back window's never fully shut, and you know.
I am aware.
Yeah. There's
It's so unsafe in the hive ward.
He will,
One week I'm
once
gonna be
again-
like, Red, introduce your new character, because Bileyg got killed in his sleep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Only if they can hit my 18 AC, baby.
Gotta get
Oh, you're not
You don't
wearing
sleep
armor
with
when
the
you
armor
sleep,
on,
and all
right?
hits when you're unconscious are auto crits, baby.
You think
Yeah.
I don't sleep in chainmail? I live in the hive ward.
Fair enough.
You leave the window open
Always be prepared.
with your window open.
No, with my window jimmyable. It's completely different. Evrard is a guest. He
Yeah,
needs
that
to know
would
the
stop
secret
a
way in.
thief.
You think the door has a lock on it? I can't just give him the
I
gift
assume-
key.
They all have a bunch of locks.
No, the
Anyway.
door is barred, obviously, but the window is
Oh, fair enough,
jimmyable,
fair
and
enough.
Evrad's got a 10-foot vertical leap, so it's okay that I live on the second floor.
And thieves' tools.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah, and thieves' tools. Evrard can get in if he needs to. I just know he doesn't like waking me up, and the window's right by my bed. So you know, it's just roommate
I
courtesy.
suspect that Evrard's thing is going to cap our episode, so if there's anything else anyone wants to do,
Yes, I would
we
like
will
to,
shut
at
this
some point in
investigation.
the next few days, go get tea with Sked, because I think he's the worst person I've ever met, and I'm so fascinated to talk more with this man.
Fantastic.
God.
Sophia, why don't you go and add him as a contact
I
to
would
your
love
list?
that.
Ah.
Sked.
By the way, I assume this is true for any NPCs you meet, but it's, I think that that's specifically a Sophia contact at this point. So
He's the
sometimes you meet an
worst
NPC, it's
person
like, yeah, you
I've
guys can
ever
go
had
back
the
and talk to
pleasure
that
of
person,
knowing,
but-
and I can't wait to talk to him more.
I've been
I'm
taking
adding-
notes
he's
on
an
most of the
official.
people
He's
we've
official
met.
NPC. I'll do just a quick rundown. Skin Leafwood used to belong to the Society of Sensation. It is since defunct. He's a ale-loving craftsman. He created the Dipping Dragon Inn. He mentioned that, and he is like an expert in architecture, but also involving like cogs and stuff like that. That's kind of what makes him. That he kind of puts the cog in stone and cog. He's one of the 3 business partners, and he is the most recent to join, but that was still some time ago at this point. So just a little bit of fun stuff. Oobtaglor.
Pretty immediately after this investigation, I'd like to pick Bileyg's brain a bit.
Oh.
What's your, what was your read on Rafferty in the end?
Seems like a young man in search of purpose in a big, complicated world who, tried to be a very big fish in what turned out to be a pretty big pond. I don't know. I think he would have said anything to try and get us to get him out of there, but
I, for one, was rather appalled as to how, to the lengths that he was willing to go to justify Koa's murder not being on his hands.
well, I don't know if you've ever received any formal weapons training, but one of the very first things you learn is that the weapon is an extension of your arm, and its actions are your responsibility. I have a feeling that the gentleman in question never really learned, as it were, the responsibility that comes with wielding a weapon of life and death. And as often happens, somebody got hurt. And I think it's more important that he not be given the power to do that again than whatever gold the PTC can wring out of him.
And that's all.
Yeah.
Okay. Then that'll bring us to Wally. Where would you like to go?
He's been putting this off for a while, but Evrard's gonna go. He's gonna go talk to the Brexit.
Yay!
Okay. We find ourselves back, now cast in shadows. It is a few hours before anti-peak. The red of the city, no less disturbing in this area. It is... You are an expert tracker, and so Brexit and Evrard, you find each other somewhat simultaneously. You are led down a blind alley, a dead end, and realizing that you have effectively tracked her here, turn around to see her standing there as you expected, having kind of like pinned you in a corner. You do have a huge leap, so it's not like you're totally trapped, but she has you. It was kind of a game of cat and cat here, as you were tracking her and she was leading you astray. What do you say?
Hello, madame. It's been some time, yes?
Yes, it has. She comes closer into the light. You see her pale as a sheet. She takes a step closer and then she stops. She takes a step back and looks at you. I wondered how you made it out of our last job. Now I guess I know. You did.
I didn't.
You say it simultaneously, and Sophia will have to make that happen in the edit.
I got you. Wink, wink, producer,
Yeah.
thumbs up. Haha. I'm so sleepy.
Welcome to the club, then.
I did not want an invitation.
No one asked to be put in the book.
So what happens now? I don't remember. I don't know how to leave. But I know that somehow you're involved.
Isn't that just my luck? Well, I suppose we'll probably be seeing more of each other. That's for sure. As for how to leave, well, there's always the final fast route, if you're interested in that. You wouldn't even need the dead bookers to come collect you. You'd just be gone.
Much like the friend that the case that I solved today, I believe everyone, even you, deserve a final rest. It's not the ending you're suggesting is not the one I would like for myself or anyone in this city. So, we'll be in contact. We'll figure this out, and more importantly, you leave my associates out of this. They can be quite idealistic when it comes to these sort of matters.
Yeah, I didn't think you'd get involved in a bad crowd, but it seems you have. They're gonna get you killed. Again, that is.
That's for me to handle.
Well, if your next jobs go down anything like our last job went down, I'm not gonna place bets on them.
I'm not asking you to. All I'm asking is you get me out of my situation, and I will no longer interfere with any of your plans. Are we? We call
Is
it
that a
even.
threat? That sounds like the rabbit that I know.
I said what I said.
You pretend you're on the side of the angels, but I see through it. You're in it for yourself one way or the other.
Evrard says nothing. He begins to turn around. Hesitates to say anything else, and he says, how can you do it? How can you continue to stay in this state that you're in after all this time? Because I can feel everything slipping away.
Why don't I go back to Easgard? Be at peace, be at rest. There's a job to do. I'm not going to enter an eternal sleep until it's done. I feel like that's something you can understand.
For someone who's as twisted as you are, you do understand the call of duty.
You think I'm twisted? It's the lady that's twisted. If you can't leave, she's the reason why. She makes it so that everyone here gets to stay or gets to go. There's nothing that happens that isn't on her whim. Think that I'm sick, but I'm the one who's trying to dig us out of the shit. She's the one who's buried everyone in this damn city underneath it all.
I am lapin, a rabbit. I have a way of getting myself out of holes. And he leaves.
You better hope so, because if the lady's taken a notice, you know what they say.
He sighs and keeps walking. He's sick of this conversation. It's going nowhere.
That's true. See you soon.
A bientôt.
And with that, we close our episode, but for one final scene.
Huh?
Lapin spends a couple days taking care of this. And it's a couple days later that we don't pick up in anyone's apartment or in the agency. Instead, we pick up in a neighborhood we haven't visited, but in the lower ward of Sigil. A man with red hair, skinny, manacles around his ankles, is painfully, because he's all bound up, not that he's literally being tortured, but painfully with great difficulty, moving crates around, moving inventory, keeping track of things with under the banner of the Planar Trade Consortium, working off a debt he cannot hope to repay. You see Rafferty. He sits down. It's early morning hours. He's clearly already been working a long time. Sits down, slumps, wipes his forehead, and as he goes to rub his eyes from sleep, he does not see the winged silhouette that creeps up behind him and the long screwdriver that enters the side of his neck from behind. He falls down to the floor before a gasp can he cry out, and behind him, the Modron speaks out and says, "In secret. The job must be done in secret. No one must know." And we will end the episode.
Killer Modron?
Are we gonna get hunted down by
Guys, we're
murder
gonna get fucking
You guys
Terminator.
never went after the real murderer. You guys learned the real murderer, and you were like, that was just a tool.
We never suspected a rogue Modron.
Well, to
That's
be
on
fair,
us. Honestly, that's on us.
We're gonna get murdered, guys. And more importantly, we're gonna get terminated. We're gonna have to go to the
You guys,
past
the
and
Modron
fight-
is our Moriarty. the Modron is our returning villain.
It's our Moriarty.
Okay, but
Oh.
consider, now that, like, we've told the entire PTC about this, the list of people this Modron has to murder is pretty long.
Yes,
the odds
but
of
we
one of them
didn't
taking him out.
The rogues
Honestly,
gallery
Oobtaglor kinda
of
was on the
open
side
and
of the
shut
Grixis
investigations
and
so
on-
far is Modron and House that is actually a mimic. And I'm not saying that like we need a human element here, but we really need.
We should tell the house about the
If you wanted a
Modron, so the
human
Modron has
elephant-
to go after it.
A human elephant? If you wanted a human element, you shouldn't have played in Sigil.
I suppose human is the inaccurate word given the setting, but humanoid
If the
I
PTC,
wanted a humanoid.
creature category
Hey,
humanoid.
keep making enemies.
collapses,
We're only
Oh,
on
God,
episode 3.
Yeah,
if the PTC collapses because of a single-minded
that's pretty badass.
Pretty
though.
great.
like John wicking it up in
I'm glad we didn't get the Modron because I want him to succeed. Because I want to see how far the little guy can
We're
go.
all Team Modron here. Yeah.
Just,
There's something
keep
poetic
whole
about a
battle map
creature-
and tokens and monster stat block that I created. Just toss that aside
Aw.
for later.
Sorry.
You wanted to be cool.
No,
There's something poetic though about a creature of law
is...
becoming a single-minded tool of anarchy.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
All right,
I
well,
like that.
With all,
I kinda
with
like
all
that.
that out of the way, I think that that's going to end this episode. So thank you for joining us. Buy the plug pins now. Don't wait.
Pre-order.
Buy them now, or you'll
Get 'em.
forget, like I do all the time. Just do it. Just go on and do it,
Go click
and
the
I'll be
click.
happy. I'll do a little dance on podcast.
Austin will. We'll post
this
it
I
on like
guarantee.
Twitter and Instagram. Austin will do a little dance if you guys the plug.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I said on podcast I will do a little dance.
On the podcast, but we'll describe the little dance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll describe. They can describe the little dance in loving detail. Anyway, thank you for joining us. We will catch you again next week for the adventures of the investigators of open and shut investigations. There's open and shut cases. There's a smoother way to say that, but we're getting there.
We'll get there.
Join us again next week for the continued adventures of the investigators of open and shut cases. Until next time.
Adios. Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of Open and Shut, a Rolling with Difficulty campaign. We'll be back next week with another thrilling mystery, but if you miss us before then, check out Rolling with Difficulty on social media and check out our Discord server for fun fan conversations. You can also email us at rollwithdifficulty@gmail.com with any questions, comments, or concerns. If you enjoyed the show, please rate us and leave a review on your preferred podcast platform, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if you really enjoyed the show, consider becoming a patron for even more exclusive benefits like access to monthly bonus content created by all of our lovely cast. You got all that, Berks? Perfect. Then we'll catch you out on the streets of the cage.